Ever felt the sting of betrayal? I have. You can't claim to love me and tell me you want to be with other men. You can't tell me you deserve a little extra after 20 years of marriage because you don't deserve anything more than I do. And I deserve your love, your respect, your loyalty, and your fidelity. I confronted my wife. Her confession shattered our world. This is my story. Enjoy watching it.
Brad? What if I said I wanted to see someone else? Wow, where did that come from? Is this a big talk kind of thing? Are we just talking? Or is this for real? Brad asked, trying not to sound too worried. Brad and Vicky had been sitting outside, just enjoying the evening. It was like many other nights they shared, but now, this? What if it's not just talking? Vicky said, her voice flat but serious. Brad felt a jolt in his heart. This wasn't just a random chat. After 20 years, he knew Vicky didn't just throw out questions like that without a reason. What now? He cleared his throat before he spoke. Do you need to ask after all our years together? He said, his voice tight. She paused, then said, Yes, I want to hear what you think. Well, this is unexpected? She tried to joke, but Brad knew this was serious. They'd never even hinted at something like this before. I'd say shocking, Vicky. Have you found someone else? Is that why we're talking about this? Vicky turned to him, suddenly serious. It's not like that, Brad. Really. But asking that, it feels like you're looking to replace me. You don't play games, Vicky. So are you saying I'm not enough? Just bringing this up makes me think you're not happy. So have you found someone else? Vicky looked worried. No, not really. I guess I just wanted to know how you'd feel, she said. It's not easy, Brad. Brad shook his head. He never thought he'd have this talk with his wife. It's way more than just a question, you know that. Okay, skip the silly reasons for cheating then. You can't say you love me and then want others. You can't say you earned a bit extra after 20 years because you don't deserve more than I do. And I deserve your love, respect, trust, and to be the only one. You can't say it won't hurt us because it will, and it already has. You can't say it's just for fun because it's not. It's cheating on me, breaking promises. You can't say I can trust you after because you won't be the same person. You'll be someone who doesn't care for me, stay true to me, or stay with me. Someone I can't trust or care for anymore. You'd be a stranger, and not someone I want in my life. So, your simple question? Cheat on me, and we're done. That's how mad I'll be. That's what I thought you'd say, Brad. But is it cheating if you say it's okay? Seriously, Vicky? Is that worth asking? I think so, Brad. It's not for me to say it's okay to cheat. Keeping your promise is up to you. You stay true or you break it and end us. Your call. I don't get a say. You don't love me enough to let me do this? Brad laughed. Why did you even think that way? It's not love if one of you messes up the bond. Love is when you stand strong and say no way to breaking what we have. Anything less is just not caring. Not caring? Yep, Vicky. Not caring. To let it slide would be like me saying I don't care about you, us, our home, or our kids. Like saying you mean nothing to me, my life, or my dreams. Like saying do whatever you want. I won't bother. Like I don't care about you at all. That's not caring, Vicky, from both sides. It's clear. I can't see it your way, Brad. Seems pretty old school, huh? There's no old school. You're smart and grown up. You choose how much our bond means to you, how much I mean, and staying with me. I shouldn't even have to say I wouldn't be okay with you picking someone else, and I shouldn't have to say it would end us if you did. So, I ask again, did you find someone to take my place? He wouldn't be a replacement, Brad. Yes, he would, Vicky. To me, he really would be. Some might be okay with adding more people in, but not me. I never was, never will be. I chose to be with you, make a life with you, have kids, and get old together. Just you. Your own choice to bring someone else in would be the end for us. No space for more in what we have. I don't share, Vicky. I never did. Never will. I haven't done anything yet, Brad. Yes, you have. Clearly you have. No more playing around. Deep down, you've decided you want something else. Something not me. Someone not me. Really, how far did you go with this? I think you're making a big deal out of nothing, Brad. I don't think so. You wouldn't talk about this if you hadn't picked someone, made a plan, and started something. So how far did it go? Vicky let out a heavy sigh. Okay, fine. Yes, there's someone I thought about having a quick thing with. Someone I know? She paused, then gave a small nod. So you chose to make things bad for us, too. Stop, Brad. I wouldn't make you feel bad on purpose. That's just you being upset. That's right, Vicky. Don't try that tired line about someone being too sensitive. We all have pride. It's part of who we are. Hurt that pride, and you hurt everything someone thinks of themselves. Their value, their respect for themselves. All gone. How can you say you love someone but tear down what makes them, them? Where's the love in hurting them like that? Vicky stayed quiet. How far did you go with this person, Vicky? Brad pulled his hand away from hers. Vicky looked down, seeing him move away, and she felt sad. Vicky, you've put a lot of thought into this, but not very good thought. You knew how I'd feel. You always knew. You probably spent more time making excuses for lying. Now tell me, how far did it go with this person? She looked into her husband's eyes, expecting to see anger or jealousy. Instead, she saw sadness. Why aren't you mad, Brad, or jealous? Do you think I'm not worth the effort? His question hit Brad hard. Fight? Are we kids? The silliest thing a man can do is chase a woman who doesn't want him. That's just crazy. At this point, you should be trying harder to keep me. I haven't done anything wrong. All through our marriage, I didn't harm us. You can't say the same now. So, how deep are you in this with him? Vicky wiped her nose and looked out at the pool, then sighed. Not deep, Brad. Not as much as you might think. In the last 4 months, I've returned his flirts. I've had lunch with him a lot. I've gotten used to him. And I've shared, private stuff. Private stuff? You mean you've talked about things we should have kept to ourselves? Yes, Brad. It wasn't on purpose at first, but it happened. I'm that comfortable with him. I trust him and like him a lot. I find him very attractive. I see. So you admit you've been unfaithful in your heart. How far did you go in other ways? Well, too far, I would say. We haven't slept together, but it's heading that way. It's pretty close, really. We've talked about going further. You're planning it, right? That's what you mean? Yes, Brad, we've made plans, sort of. Sort of, he said in a dull tone. Yes, sort of. Set in stone, but we both agree. We want this to happen. Good that you didn't say you needed it. Is he married? I won't tell you that, Brad. I won't say who he is. I get it. You want to leave me guessing who, among the men I know, is betraying me. You don't see that as shameful? I have to suspect every man I meet, wondering if he's with my wife secretly. That's some kind of love. It's more like not caring. No respect for me, no staying true to me, and no care for being loyal to me. At least you're upfront about your reasons for wanting him, selfish as they are. I don't see it your way, Brad. I think you're wrong. Overreacting? Forget that. Want it or not, you've made yourself and this other guy the main thing in your life. I'm just an extra to you now. Barely there. Our marriage is an extra for you too. With all your smarts, I thought you'd think hard about what messing around does. This isn't messing around, Brad. Oh, it is. You've been close with this guy for a while, you said it yourself. We haven't slept together. So? Do you really think that's all there is to cheating? It's not. The heart stuff, that's what kills love. It takes away all the trust and respect. When you cheat with your heart, that's what really hurts. Doing stuff is just the last bit, the nasty end. So what do you think this will do to us later on? Jesus, Brad, you're going too far. To you, maybe. To me, it's right on. But you're seeing it as way too far. I can't see any bad stuff coming later from me having a short thing with him. Soon, yes. Later, no. Then you're really not thinking. You're so caught up in what you want that you've lost my respect. I can't take that, Brad. Doesn't matter what you believe now. So what's the plan? Going out? A weekend away? Holidays alone? What's up with your new guy? Just tell me, Vicky. Vicky made a face, then let out a long breath. 2 weeks in Aruba starting next Saturday. We fly out early at 6 in the morning. Aruba? Yes. So it's already done, Brad realized. Looks like it, Vicky nodded. Wow, Vicky, do you ever think of others? What did I do to get this from you? Who are you even? Calm down, Brad, it's not so bad. He couldn't keep his cool anymore. You think this is okay? You're wrong. You've gone and thrown away 20 years for a fling. Why? It's not like that, Brad. Well, it doesn't have to be. It's just fun? Silly, Vicky, so silly. To think that's all you see it as. What's next? You're your own person? You gonna throw that at me too? That's all it is, Brad, just a bit of fun. To you, Vicky, just to you. What will we tell our kids? How do you think they'll feel knowing their mom chose this over their family? They know already. They know? How much? Everything. The trip too. They've known from the start. I didn't hide it. From the start? His voice was so soft now. Months? Yes. So at our 20th anniversary, they knew. They said nothing. They kept it quiet for me. I asked them. You asked? They didn't mind? At first, they did. Then they thought it wouldn't matter. Times have changed, Brad. They're part of this new world. It's no big deal to them. They're not losing anything. In 3 weeks, we'll still be us. Nothing will change that. Just think about it. I'm not going anywhere, Brad. Just taking some time for me. With a friend, that's all. It won't hurt if you don't let it. You're dumb if you think I'd say yes to this, Vicky, Brad said, standing up. He took out his phone and called his 2 kids, both in college on the same campus. They picked up fast. Mark, Jennifer, he started, trying to keep his cool. Your mom and I are having a talk. About Aruba? Mark jumped in. He wasn't shocked. He knew his mom planned to tell his dad tonight. After all, his mom had told him and his sister how to talk to their dad about it. Yes, Brad said, his voice tight. You knew about your mom's plan? We did, Dad, Jennifer said, calm. She's been telling us for months. Why didn't you tell me? Don't I deserve to know that your mom wants to end our marriage? Don't you care? Brad was upset. Dad, Mark replied, it's okay. This stuff happens, especially with couples who've been together a while. It's not that bad. Relax some. Relax? Jennifer, do you agree with him? We promised Mom we'd let her tell you, Jennifer said. It's not great, but she really wants this, okay? She's earned a bit of freedom. Dad, I know this hurts, like we don't care about you, but that's not true. Brad hung up and turned his phone off. Earned this? So my kids. They think it's okay to betray me too. They're fine with you breaking me, our marriage, and our family. They show no respect or loyalty to me, all while smiling and saying they love me at our anniversary. Wow, Brad. Chill. You're making a big deal out of nothing. Brad shot his wife a look. Wife. I can't tell you how much you've let me down. Not cool that you got the kids to side with you too? Wow. You guys have taken everything I love from me. You've left me with nothing I care about. Brad stood up and walked to the pool's edge, leaving her behind. Vicky's phone rang. It was Jennifer. Vicky answered, still watching Brad. Not now, Jen. You and your brother, wait a bit. Yes, your dad is mad, more at you two than at me right now. Just wait. He won't be easy to calm down. No, I won't change my mind, whatever. You and Mark need to wait. Vicky hung up just as Brad walked inside. She thought about following him, but decided to let him be. Brad ignored her as he went to his office. He closed the door, then went on the family computer. Quickly, he checked the bank online. He found a new shock. Vicky had used their shared money to help pay for a trip to Aruba. She didn't pay the full price, but still a lot. She used their shared money, not her own. She wanted to cheat and make him pay for it. Now really mad, he paid off their shared credit cards, canceled them, and moved all the money from their shared bank accounts to his own. He went on to change the username and password for his own bank stuff. He knew he'd have to wait until Monday to go to the bank and clear out the safe box he had. Then he checked his stocks account. He and Vicky had their own ones. His was okay, so he just updated the username and password. Next, he looked at the trust for the kids' school money. Brad had full control over it. He took all of it, sending $600,000 to his own bank. His kids were grown up. They could handle their own fees, or their mom could help them. He didn't care anymore. After that, he tried to get into Vicky's computer stuff, hoping to find out who she was seeing on the side. Then he stopped. Did it even matter who the other guy was? He thought about it and decided it didn't. What Vicky did was on her. She chose this path all by herself. Then Brad had another idea. He wasn't stupid, even if Vicky thought he was, at least in their marriage. He might have missed signs their marriage was in trouble, but that was personal stuff. Business was different. In business, sometimes you had to play dirty to win. Giving gifts, or bribes, was part of it, and keeping those away from the tax folks meant having money in places far away. Brad had 4 such accounts, and one was just for him. He even had credit cards for it, kept in his office desk. After thinking some more, he went back to his bank online and moved all his money from his main bank to his faraway bank. He set it up to happen Tuesday night. He had time for the trust fund money to move to his account, but he paused, thinking it over again. In a new window, Brad stopped the move to his bank. He picked an offshore account for the transfer, setting it for midnight. Sure, there'd be a track of where the money went, but no U.S. court could get to that money, nor could the tax folks, since he paid what was due. No trouble from them. He went back to his bank site, set the transfer for midnight, and clicked go. Then, he checked his investment account. Closing it meant losing some cash, but he moved what was left offshore, for midnight too. So his money was safe for now. He'd end up with $10 million there after tonight, now, for his business. It was set up as an LLC. On paper, he wasn't the boss. His job was just like any employee, with his mom and dad as the owners. Vicky might fight for it in a divorce, but she had no real claim. The business would be in his parents' names, safe from her. They'd surely not take her side. The plan was to keep it safe till his folks could sell. Brad heard Vicky at the door asking if he was all right. He stayed quiet. She found the door locked, gave up after trying a bit, and walked off, likely thinking he'd join her outside later. He grabbed his phone and called his dad. "Dad? Yeah, I'm whispering. Can you hear me all right?" "Good. Is the old house empty? I need it. I'm walking out on Vicky. She's been with someone else for a while." Mark and Jennifer knew, but only told me when I asked them less than an hour ago. Brad ended the call and spun around in his chair toward the file cabinets, yanking out a bunch of folders. He picked out his last 3 years of tax papers, the papers for his car, his old army paper, the deed for the house, and his passport. He grabbed his briefcase, slid his car paper and army paper inside, then copied everything else. The originals went right back into the cabinet. He also grabbed all the folders about his business and stuffed them into his briefcase too. He paused, thinking hard about what else he might need, and then turned back to his computer. He decided to dig deeper. The phone plan was under his name, so he went ahead and cut off the phones for Vicky and the kids, setting it to stop at midnight. Both kids had cars he was paying for. Not anymore. His wife, who made him so mad, could take care of those bills now. Next, he went into his insurance stuff. He removed Vicky, Mark, and Jennifer from the car insurance. Let Vicky handle it on her own, including paying for the kids. And he made sure to take Vicky off as the person who would get money if something happened to him, putting his parents instead. He found a thumb drive in his desk and copied all the needed files from the computer onto it. He put more stuff into his case. After grabbing all he wanted, he wiped the computer clean and set it up with a simple Windows. Vicky would have to pay someone to get it back how it was. She'd lose a lot of her apps. Vicky didn't like laptops, so she left hers at work. She'd need to wait till Monday or go get it. He turned off his own laptop, got its cord, and made another call with clear orders. Then, Brad locked his case, took his laptop and cord, and left the office. He didn't look for Vicky. He grabbed the extra car key from the wall, opened the garage, and unlocked his fancy car. He threw his stuff in the trunk. Next, Brad grabbed 2 big bags from the garage and filled them with clothes and suits for an hour in the bedroom. Vicky never came to check on him. He thought she might be outside, but he didn't mind. He took his wallet, keys, his tablet, and all the cords before leaving the room. He put the bags in the car's trunk and the suits in the back seat. He thought hard, wondering if he forgot anything. Then, it hit him. He remembered one last thing he needed. His parents gave him a small, very old bottle of scotch for his birthday. He hadn't opened it, but he knew he couldn't leave it. Brad went back into the house, grabbed the bottle, and also took 3 shiny glasses from the drink shelf. Then he thought, why not? He went to the garage and found some boxes for moving bottles. He and Vicky loved their fancy wine, so he didn't want to leave it all behind. He also grabbed 3 tall wine glasses. Brad packed the boxes well, then took them to his car, placing them on the back seat. He didn't even bother to shut the house door to the garage. Brad got in his car, opened the garage door, and drove off, leaving the garage door open. Vicky was nowhere to be seen. Vicky had been waiting outside for him to come back. She knew he would. It would just take some time for him to cool off to talk more. She and Brad always spoke up during fights. And really, this was just a fight, no different from any other time they didn't agree. None of those past fights had ever hurt their bond, and in all their years together, he had never stayed mad at her for too long. Brad had every reason to be mad about what she told him. Yes, he did. It was to be expected, and something they could deal with. She wouldn't blame him for feeling how he must be feeling now. God, if she were in his shoes, she would be heartbroken, completely torn apart. But Brad was stronger in his feelings than she was. He had always been. He was the strong one in her life. But still, there was no easy way to tell him. And she didn't think she had made her plans as clear as she could have. At least she told him early. It would have been much worse if he found out later. He had 6 days to think about it. 6 days to cool off and remember their marriage was still strong. Brad knew. He had to know how much she loved him. To her, there was no better man on earth. And he knew she thought so. Even though they had both always said they would only be with each other, she wasn't joking when she pointed out things are different these days. Time moves on. People change how they think. Getting older means your mind changes too. But that doesn't mean love changes. That stays the same. She loved Brad, and always would. This little thing she wanted to do was just a tiny bump in life. It was not a big deal. The kids, though, that was a bit mean of her. It could really hurt him. And not in a way he'd get over quickly. She was just his wife, but those kids were his flesh and blood. He'd done everything for them, loved them, pushed them to be their best, been whatever they needed. He never once complained. Yeah, using the kids like that was low. Brad might never let that go, but she could handle it. The kids were crucial to her plan. They were how she'd get Brad to come around. If he stayed away for the next 6 days, he'd be so lonely. He would have to see how sad life would be without his family. Brad was a man who needed people around him, especially his family. So he'd be mad and hurt for about 6 days, but then he'd reach out to the kids. They would make him stay. It was tough for Brad, but she could manage it. Vicky had a pretty good guess what he was doing in his office. He was making sure his money was safe. That made sense. Brad was smart and careful. He was probably also thinking of staying in a hotel for a few days. She knew this would happen. She'd miss him this week, but it had to be. Brad needed to feel what being alone was like. He couldn't stay away from his family for long. He loved them too much. In his heart, he needed them as much as they needed him. Vicky was sure Brad would think about leaving. He'd talk about it, maybe even say he'd do it. He might even start to leave her. But end things for good? Vicky didn't think so. Not over a small mistake. Why she felt so sure, she couldn't say. But she was. She'd have her fun, then face whatever Brad decided when she returned. Her plan was simple. A quick joyride, then a week or two of cold shoulder from Brad. That meant silence and no hugs or kisses. 2 weeks, tops, all planned out. He wondered if she thought about what this meant for the long run. She did. For months, she turned it over in her mind, guessing how Brad would react. Brad was a man of pride, and he could be as stubborn as they come. But she knew his stubbornness wouldn't last. It never did. Not in 20 years. Things would change between them, but not all change is bad. Yes, he'd trust her less now, but they could fix that over time. Plus, she had an idea. Brad could spend 2 weeks with her sister Sarah. Brad liked Sarah a lot. And honestly, Sarah was more beautiful and appealing than Vicky anyway. Sarah had said yes to hang out with Brad for 2 weeks to ease his hurt feelings. It would make things nearly even with Brad. Close enough, at least. Brad would like the thought, even if he said no, and see it as Vicky's way of fixing things, of making it right again. It was doable. Vicky's mind went back to why she was doing this. It wasn't like she had to, and she wasn't head over heels for the guy she picked. Yeah, he was nice to look at. Smart, had a great way about him and could make her laugh. She did trust him a lot. He was charming and likely would be fun to be around. It wasn't about looks at all. Then what? Not bored with life, that's for sure. Not unhappy with her love life either. Brad was good in that area. She wasn't trying to patch up any emotional holes Brad couldn't fill. Heck, her life with Brad for 20 years was better than she'd ever dreamed. So why? Vicky let out a sigh. The truth was she didn't have a good reason. Nothing worth making sense of, at least. It came down to seeing if she could do it, and getting Brad to be okay with it. A test. Stupid, for sure. Careless, yes. Cold, yes. Even cruel. Could she lose her marriage? Maybe. It was a risk. Was it worth it? No, but she was going for it anyway. Why then? She couldn't really tell, and that bugged her a bit. Not enough to stop her. Vicky would have felt better about her choice if she really knew why she was doing it. She didn't, but she was ready to go through with it. Brad would end up hurt, but Sarah would help heal some of that hurt. Heck, she might even be better in bed than Vicky herself. Another gamble. Vicky didn't get why she loved risk so much. It was a mystery to her. She planned to spend 2 weeks with her lover, then go back to Brad. She was sure she'd never leave Brad for anyone, and she didn't worry about getting sick or having a baby. She and her lover were careful tests and all. Sure, it was a bit wild, but not totally crazy. She let out a sigh, wondering about Brad. He should have been back. She decided to look for him. She wasn't shocked to see the office and garage doors wide open. His car was gone, just as she thought it might be. How long would he be away? In their bedroom, she saw he took a bunch of clothes. And in the living room, she noticed the booze missing, some wine and that big scotch bottle from his folks. This wasn't like him. Brad didn't drink to escape problems. This was a new side of him. Brad reached his parents' old place before they did. He got everything set up in the right rooms before they even got there. The house was old, from 1910, but in good shape. His dad Aaron kept it nice, spending loads to fix it up over time. It was a big, cozy Victorian house in a nice area, with 2 stories and 2,500 square feet to live in. Even had working fireplaces. His parents thought it was too big for them now, so they made the team smaller but kept the house to let only a few people live there. Brad often thought of buying the house from his parents, but Vicky was totally against it. She felt weird about the house. For some reason, it gave her a spooky vibe. Vicky always called it the Halloween house. Just being there made her skin crawl, and not in a good way. Brad, on the other hand, loved the house. He grew up there, so it made sense. A knock on the door made him laugh, but not in a happy way. About 10 minutes later, his folks walked in. "Brad, are you here? Brad, when did you get a pickup truck?" his dad shouted inside. Brad walked out of the kitchen to hug his mom and shake hands with his dad. "Got a truck?" his dad asked again. "No, Dad," he replied, pulling away from his mom. "It's just for show. I had some of my security team bring it here. It's a new car from my fleet. I think maybe Vicky will come by, see the truck, and think someone else lives here." "Ha! That's smart," his mom said excitedly. "Okay, what's this about Vicky being unfaithful?" she pressed. They all moved to the kitchen where they started unpacking the food brought by Brad's parents. "There's more in the car, son. We got you a Keurig and some coffee. And some mugs, too. Not sure what you've got here to use." "Go get it, Aaron. I need to listen to what Brad's got to say." "I'll help him, Mom. I didn't tell him everything, and I'd rather just say it once." Soon they were all sitting at the kitchen table, drinking fresh coffee. When Brad finished his story, his folks looked shocked, until his mother's face turned very red. Brad's mom and dad were pretty young when they had him, so now they're in their late 50s, still strong and lively. "Brad, dear, I want to yell every mean word at your wife. I would too if your dad didn't get so upset by bad words," she said with heat. Aaron sat back, looking at her, raising an eyebrow. "Oh, stop, Aaron. You know you don't like it when I use bad words." "Well, yes, it does upset me, but maybe just this once, it's okay," he said. Grace huffed. "It sure is," she snapped, "but I won't do it. Thanks, Mom. It's not worth it, right or wrong." "And the kids knew about it all?" she asked. "Yep, from the start, 4 months ago. They told me they knew and were okay with Vicky. They think she has the right." Grace almost spat out her words. "Kids these days. What's wrong with them? Brad, you should have disciplined them more when they were younger." Brad shook his head. "Did you ever use a belt on me?" he asked. "Did you ever hurt me or your dad?" she shot back. "No. There you go, such terrible kids. It's shocking what they've done." "Okay, Grace, calm down," his dad said. "Let's think of how we can help." "All right, but I might still use a belt on them later." "I'll help, Grace, but later, okay? Brad, you're staying here?" he asked. "Yes, if I can." "This house is yours as long as you need. Forever, even," his mom said. "Thanks, Mom. But I don't think I'll stay long. Maybe a week? I need some alone time. Maybe travel far for a bit. A month? Maybe 2, just thinking." "Aruba?" his mom asked, hopeful. "Are you going there to find them and deal with that guy?" "No, Mom, not Aruba." "Do you know the guy Vicky is with?" "Nope. And to be honest, I don't want to know. Think you'll ever forgive Vicky? Maybe make up? No, Dad. She's been with him for 4 months. Says they haven't slept together, but... You believe her? It doesn't matter, Dad. She planned this. Our marriage vows, broken. She acted like we were happy at our 20th. Even the kids knew and played along. Those kids, Grace spat out. So, a divorce? Looks like it. Need to figure some stuff out before I see a lawyer. Divorce will tear me apart financially. Hate the idea of paying Vicky after what she did. I've moved my money around. Changed my life insurance to you and Mom. The college fund for the kids? Gone. Vicky can deal with it or the kids can work. I'm not giving more. Put my money in an overseas account. Well, what? Brad, we've saved some cash for their graduation gifts. That's your call, Mom. Your money. That's just it, Brad. I don't want them to have it. They don't deserve it, Mom said angrily. That's your choice. They're your grandkids. They haven't hurt you. Not true, Brad. They hurt our son, Dad said. Brad just shrugged. It's still up to you. Brad's phone buzzed on the table. He ignored it until it stopped. Then he checked it, spending a moment with it. Was that Vicky on the phone? No, Mark, I just stopped her number. And Jennifer's too. I don't need to hear them now. Did they leave you any messages? Yes, from the kids. Voice messages. I don't want to listen to those either. Nothing from Vicky. Soon it won't matter. They won't have a way to call after tonight. I cut their phones from my plan. That plan's ending this week, too. I'll get a new one next Monday or Tuesday. What about your work, Brad? What will you do? His dad asked. You and Mom own it, so you have a say. We don't know much about your work, Brad. I'm thinking of selling it. I've been playing with that thought for a bit. I dreamt of stopping work early, getting Vicky to agree, and traveling the world for a few years. His mom said. That would have been a great trip. Not anymore. Did I say she paid for her trip to Aruba with our shared bank account? She did? What the hell? Grace. Oh, stop it, Aaron. That's just wow. What's wrong with her? Cheating is bad enough, but making him pay? Someone should teach her a lesson. I agree. But the F word? Really, Grace? Be strong, Aaron. I can't stand her right now. Give me a break. Okay, dear, no more F words, please, okay? Fine, for you and Brad. Good. So, about the work. Do you have someone in mind to sell it to, Brad? Yes, a guy who's been interested for a year now. I plan to call him and meet in person. Is he from here? No, he's from Tokyo. Japan? Yes, a trip to Tokyo might be what I need now. Oh, that's quite a trip. I won't stay there, Mom. Just going for a bit. For how long? I'm not sure. Maybe some weeks. Then what? Brad just lifted his shoulders. Not sure, not now at least. Let's have dinner. I'm hungry, his dad said. After they ate, his parents cleaned up with him, then left. Brad made sure the door was locked and turned off the light outside. Mark had tried to call his dad a lot. He felt bad for not stopping his mom's silly idea. He felt even worse for not telling his dad. But was it really a big deal at their age? Wow, they had been together for 20 years. Dad must know Mom didn't want to hurt him. It was just something she wanted to try. It wasn't a big thing, so why worry? Mark called his sister. Hey, it's me. Did you try calling Dad? Yeah, he's not picking up. I think he blocked us. Yeah? Well, Mom said he wouldn't want to talk right away. That doesn't mean he shouldn't. We messed up, Mark. We should have told Dad from the start. Does it matter, Jen? I mean, Mom wants to do this. Say we told Dad and he stopped her. Now, would that stop her from trying again, but maybe sneakier? I don't know, Mark. I just don't know. But we had to tell Dad. Now he thinks we don't love him or care. That's not true. No, it's not. Yeah, he must feel really bad now. Have you talked to Mom again? What's happening at home? I called her. She said he left, took a lot of clothes and booze with him. Booze? Dad? Yeah, that old scotch from Graham and Gramps and lots of wine. She thinks he's at a hotel somewhere, planning to drink a lot. Wow, I can't picture Dad drunk. I've never seen him like that. No, that's not like Dad. Do you think he'll come back home before Mom goes? I have no clue. Why would he do that? To stop her from leaving? Chain her to the bed, maybe? Ha! I can't see Dad doing that. It'd be funny, though. I really can't picture him heading back home before next Saturday unless he needs more stuff. I bet he waits for her to go to work if he even bothers. Mark, this is awful. We're awful. Dad must think we don't like him. What if he does something bad to himself? Like what? I don't know. He's by himself, drinking old scotch and wine. Anything could happen. I think if he mixes that wine with the scotch, he'll just end up sick. Don't be mean. You know what I mean? Hey, calm down. You're asking me stuff I can't answer. Just relax, okay? I'm going to call Grandma and see if she's seen him. I wouldn't do that, Jen. Why not? If Dad told her we sided with Mom, Grandma might get really mad at us. She wouldn't do that. Ever seen Grandma really mad? I have. I'm not risking it. No calls to Grandma from me. You're scared? Yep. Better scared than hurt. I'm not taking that chance. Screw you, Mark. I'm calling Grandma. Jennifer hung up. Mark didn't think calling Grandma would end well. 5 minutes later, Jen called back. Mark, Grandma is so mad. She yelled so much, I think she broke my ear. I don't even have an eardrum anymore. It's like a tambourine now. She kept yelling about a belt and blisters. What do we do? Avoid Grandma for a long time? Be real. I don't know. Maybe call Mom? No, this is her fault. Yeah, but where could Dad be? No clue, Jen. Maybe the old house? No, it's rented out. I think there's like a 3-year lease or something. He might be at a hotel, or perhaps he's at his workplace, maybe sleeping on a sofa or something. You're dumb. Our dad's sleeping on a sofa. Are you always this stupid? Yep. It's a tough look to keep up, but I try my best. I'm serious and you're cracking jokes? Yes, Jen. It's kind of my thing when I'm scared. Then you must be scared all the time. I think we should go back home, like tomorrow. We need to find Dad and fix things with him. Mom says it's too soon for that. She says we should wait for him to calm down a bit. And when has Mom ever been right? None of this should be happening. She shouldn't be cheating on Dad. Okay, sure, she shouldn't cheat, but she is. You and I can't change that. She has to stop and she won't. Not soon. What's our plan if we go back? Hear more lies from Mom? I don't want to listen to her anymore. You know how she can make us do anything she wants. Find Dad? He might just get a gun to shoot us. So, what's your plan? What do you think will happen if we go home? I don't know, but I have to try something. Maybe all I'll do is yell at Mom, but I have to try. I can't believe I was okay with her cheating. I can't believe I hid it from Dad. It's eating me up, Mark. I have to try something. Anything. Whatever, Jen. Do what you think you need to. I think it's a waste of time, but that's your choice. Me, I'm going to call Mom and try to make her see reason. Brad was at the kitchen table, sipping on a very old scotch when his phone rang. He had been there for hours, drinking with the scotch. A full third of the bottle was gone. Brad was upset that he wasn't even feeling a buzz from what he'd drunk. He should be feeling something. It was his body's fault, really. It could beat booze too fast. So he never got to feel drunk. He didn't drink much because of it. Drinking just didn't do much for him. It felt like throwing away cash and time. He spent hours alone, bottle in hand, going back over his life. He thought about the first time he met Vicky, their wedding, the kids' births. He was there for those, the good and bad times with the family, the trips, growing the business, the dreams he and Vicky had. All of it felt wasted. Just gone. Now, it all felt like a bad dream. He was so mad about how things turned out. When he saw who was calling, Vicky's sister, he got even madder. What do you want, Sarah? He didn't care about being nice now. Brad? Are you okay? Where are you? Vicky said you left. Did you know, Sarah, what she's been up to? Why didn't you tell me, Sarah? We were close. Why? She's my sister, Brad. So she got you to turn on me too? Great. It's not like that, Brad. Yes, it is. Did your folks know too? Yes, Brad, they're not happy. So everyone is against me. Brad, it's just a small thing. To you, maybe. To me, it's huge. Brad was really mad now, his voice cold. Brad, where are you? Can I see you? No. I can't deal with any of you now. I don't want you in my life. Stay away from me. Brad ended the call and blocked her number. He even blocked all the numbers for his wife's family. Cut me off from them? Forget them all. Mom, it's Mark. Have you heard from Dad? Vicky made a face. No, Mark, and I don't think I will. Not for days, at least. Did you hear from him? No, Mom. He blocked my and Jen's phones. I don't think I'll hear from him again either. Stop being so over the top, Mark. Your dad is upset and mad. He has a right to be, but it's not the end of everything. No, Mom, it isn't. But it feels like the end of our family. It is not, Mark. It's just selfish and dumb on your side. How dare you talk to me like that? Why not, Mom? I should have said it ages ago. You're being so selfish and mean by doing what you did, and now you're making it worse by taking this trip to Aruba. Fix this before you totally break our family. Jen is planning to come back tomorrow. Why would she do that? She's coming back to look for Dad and say sorry to him. I think she also wants to talk you out of this silly trip of yours. I've had enough of you talking to me like that, Mark. Too bad, Mom. Don't you think what you're doing is rude to all of us? How about we say disgraceful, not just rude? I've heard enough from you, Mark. Maybe, but you need to fix this, and fast. This will not end how you think it will. What do you mean? It means you don't have my support. You lost Jen's too. Grandma and Grandpa know what's going on. Grandma said she's going to whip us all. Vicky laughed. I will have her arrested if she tries. Do you think Grandma worries about a few days in jail? You're crazy if you do. Listen, Mom, stop this mess and make up with Dad. Stay here, find him, and ask for his sorry. Do that, Mom, or I'm done with you. What? You don't mean that? Yeah, I really do. I feel so bad I wasn't there for Dad. He needs us. You don't. End this or you're losing me and maybe Jen too. I mean it, Mom. End it. No. Mark hung up. Vicky tried to call back, but he didn't pick up. Before she could leave a message, her phone rang again. It was her sister. Sarah, I'm kind of tied up right now. Mark's making a fuss. I just talked to Brad, Vicky. It's ugly. What? What did he say? Lord, Vicky, he said he's cutting us off. Oh, Sarah, he's just mad. He's way past just mad. Way past. His voice, Vicky, he's hurt, but his voice was icy and his words mean. You really didn't see how mad he is, sis. He's totally serious about dropping all of us, even Mom and Dad. You have to stop messing with him now. Was he drunk? No, he was clear-headed. Brad is really angry, Vicky. Angry like we've never seen. Man, his voice scared me. Vicky sighed. Why is everyone being so over the top? That's crap, Vicky. I'm still shaking from what he told me. I don't get why you're doing this, but if you don't stop, you're going to lose him for good. All of us will. Don't throw your snark at me. Keep up that trip or seeing Nathan and you're done. Might already be since you turned his kids on him. For Pete's sake, why am I stuck with kids? Vicky mumbled. To hell with you. I'm here trying to save your marriage and you call me a kid? To hell with you. Take your trip. Screw up worse than you have. Get every bad thing going. Don't even think to call me when he dumps you. To hell with you. Sarah hung up. Vicky frowned, then dialed another number. Graham picked up, yelled dirty name, and hung up. Vicky let out a sigh. That call went wrong. She was more careful with the next call. What do you want, dear? Did you tell Brad your silly plan? I did, Mom. I guess he didn't like your plan or what you did before? No, Mom. He acted just like I thought. He left our home with clothes and his computer stuff. Took a lot of drink, too. Vicky, you know your dad and I don't like what you've been up to or what you plan to do. It's bad. Did you talk to Mark? What? No, why? Did he change his mind? Looks like it. He just told me if I keep up with my plan, he's done with me. Well, seems the boy finally grew a spine. Mom, that's no way to talk about your grandson. I think differently. He's let us down these last months. Good to hear he's got some guts now. So, Brad has moved out. Got any clue where he went? No, Mom. I got no word from him, and neither have the kids since he told them bye at the house. Sarah just talked to him, though. Oh? What did he say to Sarah? Nothing nice, it seems. He told her he was through with all of us, you and Dad, too. Well, that's not great. It's just for now, Mom. I doubt it, Vicky. Have you ever known Brad to flip-flop or say stuff he didn't mean? No, never. Well then, you know how this will end. Bet on it. By the way, have you looked at your bank accounts? The kids' school money? No, why should I? Vicky's mom laughed. Your dad and I made a bet. What bet? I bet your dad that Brad would take all the money out, even the kids' school fund, before he left. Vicky didn't wait to hang up with her mom. She rushed to see her desktop computer at home starting up Windows. It looked like it would take an hour more. She yelled in shock. Brad looked at the clock. It was 3:30 a.m. He had sat by himself at the kitchen table for about 6 hours, thinking over last night. He thought about every word Vicky said, every look she gave when she talked about her plans for the weekend, the ones that upset him. He felt angry, upset that the kids and her family backed her up. He drank a lot of scotch but didn't feel drunk. Deep down, he had made a big choice to sell his business. Late at night, he had sent a message to a possible buyer in Japan, asking to meet in the next weeks to talk about selling. The scotch made him think, but it didn't help with his pain or calm his thoughts. Then he realized something big. Vicky didn't say she loved him, not even once the day before when she told him her news. Saying "I love you" was a big part of their marriage. They always said it every single day for 20 years. But she didn't say it yesterday or last night, not even once. Brad was lost in a fog, his mind not clear because of the drinks. Yet even with his thoughts all muddled, he felt like he should get what was going on. Was she tired of him wanting someone new, someone she loved already? She hadn't said it, but did that mean it wasn't true? Her not saying "I love you" and acting so carefree, that had to mean he wasn't important to her, right? Or, to put it another way, he didn't matter to her? And those two kids, why would they go along with Vicky's scheme? Couldn't they see what she was doing to him? How could they not predict how he'd feel about her lies? That they would just turn their backs on him too? Brad was heartbroken. Turns out they sided with Vicky, tricking him for months. They both didn't care that their mom was being unfaithful. Mark's words, "Lighten up." So easy to say when you're not the one being left. And Jennifer, her mom had it coming? Such dumb, shallow, cold words. Brad felt no point in trying to make sense of it anymore. Those two cared more for Vicky than for him, and nothing they said could undo that harsh truth. That's it. They chose her, not him. They couldn't care less about him. He was on his own now, truly alone. No wife, no kids, no family, zero. The life he knew and loved was over. Finished. His new life started now. It was up to him what to make of it. He couldn't go back to what was. It was all gone. Brad usually kept his feelings hidden. He knew who he was and was okay with that. Vicky liked to call everyone friends, not Brad. For Brad, being called a friend meant much more. He once had a friend, Greg Moore, a guy he'd grown up with. They had been buddies since they were kids. But then Greg got sick with lupus and died in less than a year. Brad was never the same after losing Greg. From then on, he only really let his family get close. Others were just people he knew, some more than others, but never real friends in his eyes. The only ones he truly held dear were Vicky, Mark, and Jennifer. He gave them his all, always. But it seems it was never enough for them. Why? What was so big for Vicky to walk away like this? Wasn't his love enough? Was he too dull for her? Was there someone else she liked better? Did she think she and the kids were too good for him now? Was he just money to them? Had he always been? She didn't give a real reason, just that she wanted it for herself. Like she needed space, as if she was off to get her nails done or something. How could she think he'd be okay with this? Think he'd just move on and forgive? That's not who he was, he told her straight. She took everything from him. He'd never forget or forgive. Not her, not Mark, not Jennifer. He noticed his hands shaking and felt a tear on his cheek, quickly wiping it away. No tears, no feeling sorry for himself. He would miss his family, or what he thought was his family, but he wouldn't let the deep sadness beat him. Nope, they wouldn't rule over him. No one would. He knew Vicky well. Better than she knew him, it seemed. She thought she could hurt him and just walk away. She believed a little. Short sorry from her would fix it all, making things go back to before. She thought she could get off easy, thinking she had him under control. But she was wrong. Just because he didn't hold on to anger before doesn't mean he'd let it slide this time. Drunk or sober, his anger wouldn't go away now. Damn cheating woman. If he wasn't good enough for her, then so be it. Her loss. His life was his, and like the saying goes, she didn't own him. No, they could throw him away. But he didn't have to lay low. He could get up, dust himself off, and just leave. They said he meant nothing to them. Well, now they meant nothing to him. Not anymore. He'd just forget them. Hard to do, yes, but possible. He was rich, after all. "Thanks for seeing me, Brad. I really didn't think you would," said Irene, his mother-in-law, as she met him for lunch that Thursday. "I'm still trying to get why I said yes to your call at work, Irene. I don't know what to think." Irene took Brad's hand across the table. "Brad, you are like the son me and Bert never had. I know you think me and Bert helped Vicky in her bad choice, but I want you to know we didn't. We both don't agree with what she did and what she plans to do. Please believe that." Brad was sure Irene was not lying to him. Irene always told it like it was, never tried to make things sound better or blame others. He couldn't think of anyone more straight up than Irene. Irene gave him a soft, sad smile. We tried to talk her out of this crazy idea, Brad. Thought it might cool things down so she'd see her mistake. If that failed, we hoped she'd think of you and back off before it's too late. I know it sounds terrible, but we didn't want you to get hurt if we could stop it. Brad kept quiet for a bit. Irene, I get why someone married as long as I've been might get curious. Maybe a bit of flirting, that's it. We all like a little attention. He paused. Irene just looked at him, waiting. But Vicky knew how I felt about staying true. No cheating, ever. That was our rule for 20 years. Then, without a word, she changed everything 4 months ago. She just decided to do what she wanted. Consequences be damned. I can't figure out why. I have no clue why she'd start this affair. I wish I could tell you why, Brad, but I can't. You've probably guessed what we all think. She's doing it because she thinks she can, believing you'll just take her back, forgive her. Brad's face showed his anger. That's not going to happen, Irene, not now. The kids, Irene asked softly. Yeah, why would she put me through this? She could have kept it from them. They didn't need to know. From the start, she dragged them into this mess. Why'd they keep it hush from me? Irene let out a big sigh. It's hard to say, Brad. Vicky's made things real messy with them, but when you ask them, they don't see the harm in what Vicky's up to. They've told me and Bert. They think it won't mess up your marriage. That's how young folks seem to think these days. Brad's look was sharp. You talked to them? Yep. Bert and me tried talking to Mark and Jennifer a lot. Didn't change a thing. She sighed once more. You should also know Mark and Jennifer have met the guy Vicky picked out more than once. Looks like they're cool with him and give him the thumbs up. Are you kidding me? Hey, don't get mad at me. I just found out last night. How? Vicky and Jennifer were over for dinner last night. Vicky wanted her buddy to come too, but we said no. Bert and me, we don't back what she's doing to you. You know this friend? We do, you don't? No. Vicky kept Mom on his name. His name's Nathan Trumbull. Brad knew the name but couldn't match a face. I don't know him. Vicky said it was someone familiar. Well, you've met him a few times at our place. He works for Bert and showed up at a bunch of our parties. You've definitely talked to him. Guess he didn't stick in my mind then. I'd have no clue who he is even if he sat right next to you. Well, he's big news at Bert's work. Top dog, really. Bert had a talk with him. And? Didn't go great for you, I'm afraid. Nathan's got away with words and charm. He told Bert in a nice way that he was sorry if his new thing with Vicky was making things hard for them, but choosing to be with Vicky was something both grown-ups agreed on, and it had nothing to do with his work. Bert was shocked, but he couldn't say or do much. Nathan got the job before the company made rules about right and wrong behavior, so you can't really blame Nathan for what he's doing. Bert can't just fire him for being with Vicky, not unless he wants a lawsuit for firing him for no good reason. That sounds like a really bad idea. Maybe, maybe not. To be honest, Nathan has put Bert in a tough spot. Bert really needs Nathan at work. I'm not sure what Nathan plans with Vicky in the long run, but Vicky was very clear last night that she won't stick with Nathan for much longer. Vicky told me straight up that Nathan is nothing compared to you in her life. Sounds like a load of lies to me. Bert and I thought so too. Nathan may seem too sure of himself, but you only get hints of that. He's got this confidence that covers up his too big ego, but he's good to talk to. Is he married? No, and from what I've heard, he's never been. Are you thinking of checking up on him? No. It's not worth the effort or the money. That took Irene by surprise. You're not okay with this, are you? No. Irene's eyes grew wide. Then she started laughing. You've got a plan, don't you? She said, all excited. Brad stayed quiet, his look turning tough, which made Irene stop laughing fast. Bradley Duncan, I've been your friend for 22 years, and in all that time, you've never had to doubt me or my care for you. I promise you right now, anything you tell me, anything you've already told me stays just between us. I won't even tell Bert unless you say it's okay. You haven't left me behind, Brad, nor has Bert. We're with you. Tell us anything, but know it stays with us. Brad took a moment to calm down. Okay, Irene, I trust you, and thanks. This week's been tough. She held his hand tight again. We love you, Brad. So does Bert. You're our family for always. No matter what, you're one of us. Brad nodded. All right. No, I won't go after Nathan. I won't chase him. I can't really blame him much. He's just taking what Vicky gave him. If she pushed him away, he'd be no trouble. How much is he to blame? 30%, 40, 50? I'm not thinking of divorcing Vicky if that's what you're thinking. But I can't stay with her or have anything to do with her after this. She ended things with us, but I don't want to spend time, energy, or money on a divorce that could drag on if she fights it. What will you do then? Brad smiled. The Aussies say walkabout. I've decided to see the world. I don't need to be divorced for that. Maybe I'll find something that makes sense. Nothing here does anymore. Irene laughed. Vicky won't see that coming. Probably not. I know how Vicky thinks. She thinks she's in control, ready for anything. She's wrong. She has no control over me and never will. I bet she never thought I'd just walk away and cut her and the kids out of my life. But that's what I'm doing, Irene. They pushed me out and I'm cutting them off. Can you really do that, Brad? Emotionally, I mean? Yes, I think so. For quite a while, at least. I almost went back earlier this week, but I stopped myself. Why did you decide not to go back? When she told me about her cheating, she seemed too pleased with herself. That really made me mad. I'm going to keep remembering how that made me feel. Also, how my kid didn't seem to care at all. There's nothing left for me there, Irene. That's why I didn't go back. They might think it's okay, but it's not. I can't just forget or forgive any of it. Wow, what a tough spot, Brad. Yeah, it's a mess. Are you going to be okay with money? Traveling around can cost a lot. Bert and I are here if you need help. Thanks. I should be okay. I took all the money except for Vicky's own bank account and her stocks. Everything I took is now far away. I'll be fine, but thanks for offering. Did you leave the kids their college fund? No. They can pay their own way now. Same for their cars. They pay or they lose them. Irene laughed. Bert thought you wouldn't go through with it. He also thought you planned to kick Vicky out while she's away in Aruba. You made a bet on this? Yep. Good on you for taking the money, even though Vicky put half into the college fund. Have you told the kids? I haven't talked to them since Saturday. I blocked their numbers. Vicky can cover their school and cars. I'm done with all of them. That'll shock them. Did you know Jennifer has been home all week? No, you said something about Jennifer being with Vicky last night, but I didn't catch it. Well, last Sunday she got back home and had a big fight with Vicky. They've been fighting like cats all week. Jennifer has been looking for you everywhere, wanting to chat. Where were you hiding? I was over at my folks' old place. I left a truck out front to keep folks guessing, I replied. Irene chuckled. So, is Jennifer trying to stop Vicky from going away on Saturday? She asked. Irene looked puzzled and unsure. I can't really tell. Sometimes yes, other times no. Then they end up fighting again. It seems like Vicky can always get the kids on her side, and that's not changing. Jennifer feels bad she didn't talk to you, but it seems like she's not really against Vicky having a thing with Nathan. You know, your kids like Nathan and don't mind him being around Vicky, Irene mentioned. That's great, I said, not really meaning it. Maybe for the younger folks, they don't see anything wrong with married people seeing others. Sounds crazy, but that's how it is, Irene said. What about Mark? I asked. Well, he hasn't talked to Vicky all week. He told her he'd have no more to do with her if she kept seeing Nathan. But Jennifer said at dinner last night that Mark's been chatting with Nathan like nothing's wrong, especially after Vicky gave him a new phone. It seems like Mark's not really mad at Vicky, more like he's upset because you're upset and he's trying to figure it all out. I know it's a bit mixed up how I'm saying it. Irene tried to explain. All I could do was shake my head as Irene went on. Vicky and Jennifer were acting all polite last night at dinner. Vicky was obviously thrilled about her trip, and Jennifer was, well, trying not to seem too happy about it, maybe. After dinner, both of them talked to Nathan on the phone, and from what I heard, those calls were all sweet and friendly. Kinda made me sick, she concluded. I get it. Vicky was excited to chat about her Aruba hotel trip, but Bert and me, we kinda just zoned out. Both of them, really. They got the hint and left, quiet as mice. I wish things were better, Brad. Me too, for sure. So what's the plan with Aaron and Grace and the company? Everyone knows you're the real boss there. Are they gonna step up or what? Nah, they're not into the idea of working all the time. Plus, they're not hurting for cash. I've got someone in mind who might buy it. If all goes well, they'll be rid of it by next month. Wow, that's big news. Yeah, I don't see why I should stick around to run it for them anymore. I get it, Brad. And this journey you're talking about? When's that starting? Brad gave a soft, sad smile. Headed to the airport soon. I'll hit Tokyo before Vicky flies off to Aruba. After Tokyo, who knows? I plan to be gone a long while, maybe a few years. Got a whole bunch of places I want to see. Told my parents about it. We'll meet up somewhere sometime. Years? You gotta promise me something, Brad. What's that? Keep us in the loop, only us. Every week without fail. Bert and me will come find you on your adventure. That's a deal. Maybe Aaron and Grace too if they can swing it. You're not just gonna vanish on us, Brad. Vicky and the kids won't know? Nope, not a word, unless you say it's okay. Okay then. I've got your emails. I'll send updates from wherever I am. You share what you want with Bert. What about Sarah? Brad paused to think. Give it some time, Irene. I'm not sure about Sarah right now. Okay, Brad, just try not to be too hard on Sarah. She's really torn up about this. What do you think about leaving your marriage, Brad? You keep saying you won't go back, but what's really on your mind? Do you think Vicky will leave you because you left, or do you think she'll wait for you to return? Brad just lifted his shoulders. I don't care much, Irene. She can leave if she wants. The only money and stuff she can ask for in court is her own and our house. I don't mind. She can have the house. I'm okay with that. My lawyer can sign for me if she wants to sell it. He'll talk to her after she gets home. Sure, she might get some money from me through court, but she'll never get it from me. She might wait for me, but she's wasting her time. I'm not going back. You need to get that, Irene. I won't go back to her. What about your kids? Their big moments. Getting married. Having kids of their own? No. This Nathan guy or anyone else she finds can be there for them. That sounds really harsh, Brad. Maybe, or not. I can't see it all clearly right now. I might never. Finding out your wife and kids don't care about you is hard. Maybe they should feel the same from me. Who knows, they might learn something. Irene felt really sad. She truly cared for her son-in-law. Do you know anyone where you're headed? Nope, not a soul after I leave Tokyo. I need that. A new start, or a reset. I just need to be with people who don't know me. I need to figure out if I'm the problem. I'm not sure what I need. But now, like Vicky wants something new, I do too. I want to start over. Tears were running down Irene's face. You're not planning to let them know what you're up to? No. Not anytime soon, at least. I just can't make up my mind if they'll even care. Not really, you know. But then I think, let them feel what I've been through. What goes around comes around, right? Now that I know Mark and Jen are okay with Vicky picking someone else to take my place, I'm pretty sure they won't miss me. Sorry for the rough talk this week. That's okay, Brad. You can talk however you want with me. This whole thing just makes me really sad. It's all so dumb and hurtful. None of it makes any sense. No, it really doesn't. But you can pass a message to Vicky for me next time you see her, okay? Irene gave him a soft smile. Of course. What's the message? Brad took Irene's hand across the table. Opening it, he put his wedding ring in it. Just that, Irene. Tell her, nothing more to say. Jennifer took her mom to the airport. After saying bye, Jennifer started heading back to school. She used her car to call Mark on his new phone. He picked up sounding half asleep. Yeah? Hey, wake up. I just left Mom at the airport and I'm going back to school. You got any plans today? Yeah, I do. Forget your plans, Mark. And don't plan on spending any cash. Dad took all the money and left somewhere. I can't get anyone to tell me where. I think Grandma Irene knows because she met him last week. I don't know what I did, but she's hardly talking to me. Grandma gave Mom Dad's wedding ring yesterday, saying it's all Dad wanted to say to us. She won't talk to Mom now. I don't think she's as mad as Grandma, but she's mad at us. Everyone. So is Grandpa. He told Mom and me to leave his house and not come back. What? What? Listen, we have no money, Mark. Dad took all the family's cash with him. He left nothing but Mom's money. What? No money? Yeah, like we're flat broke. I asked Mom if she would cover our school costs, but she didn't give a clear yes or no. She earns a lot, but now she's got to handle all the bills herself. Dad used to do that. She said the tax for the house is more than $90,000, and it's due soon. That cash should have been ready, but Dad took it. I'm not sure how much Mom saved from her job, but it looks like we're in a tight spot. Man, do we need to get loans for school? Looks like it. We might even lose our cars. What? I thought they were fully paid. Nope, they're not. And the loan's in your name and mine. Remember those papers at the car shop? Dad wanted us to have good credit, paying for us. But he's not here to do that now, and I doubt we'll get more cash from him. I've got about $1,500, you? Maybe $400. That's it? Yeah. What about Grandma Irene and Grandpa Bert? Can they help? Mom said she'd ask them when she's back. She doesn't want to stress over money while on vacation, and they were too upset to talk before she left for Aruba. It's looking bad, Mark. This is really messed up. It is. Any clue where Dad went? Nope, but Mom said the safety box at the bank is empty too. He has his passport. I feel he might have left the country. Like to another place? Why would he do that? Think he's after Nathan in Aruba? I don't know, Mark. Just can't find him. Did you tell Mom? She should know, right? Oh, like we told Dad she was cheating? Hey, that's not the same. Dad could get mad. Big difference. Do you think Dad would actually go that far? Be violent? How should I know? He's mad, right? He's got money. What else would a mad rich guy do? Man, how much would it take to get some rough guys in Aruba to mess Nathan up real bad? Just a few bucks? You're talking about mafia. You get what I'm saying, bad guys or whatever. They could make it seem like a robbery or something. Man, you hear about stuff like that on TV all the time. You mean the news? Whatever. TV. You have to tell Mom. I can't tell Mom anything, you know. I'm driving and she's about to fly. You tell her. Fine, I'll text her. Maybe Nathan can get a guard there or something. Or maybe they'll just stick to their room or like stay on the busy beach. This is so messed up. Mark. It's Mark, Mom. Jen and I think Dad might be going to Aruba when you are. We think he's after Nathan. Maybe you too. Bad news, I know, but you guys need to watch out. Really watch out. If Dad is there, he might get someone to target you. Jen and I are super worried. Be careful. Vicky only saw the message that night. She hadn't even looked at her phone until after she and Nathan got to their hotel room and had a good time in bed. For Vicky, at least, it was good, seeing it was their first time together like that. Then they cleaned up and got ready for the beach. Vicky loved the beach. It was full of good-looking men. And pretty women, too. Vicky didn't mind Nathan looking as long as he was cool with her doing the same. It kind of got them both going again. She thought about why she and Brad never went to a place like this. Wow, it would have been so romantic. When she saw the text, after they ate and went to their room to get ready for the night out, she got a worried look on her face. Was Mark serious? Brad? Mean? Nathan saw her look and asked her what was wrong. She showed him the message and Nathan went white. Nathan didn't like any kind of rough stuff, not in movies or books. That message made them skip the club and just go back to bed. Love-making was the closest Nathan wanted to be to anything rough. Brad took a deep breath, surprised by how different Tokyo smelled from home. The city was loud, too. He got there 3 days ago, talked to the person he wanted to sell his business to, and they agreed to a deal fast. Brad didn't want to get rich from selling his company. A bit of cash, sure, but not a fortune. He mainly wanted the sale done fast, in a place that didn't share info with the U.S. The money would then go to his account in the Caribbean. Hidoki Masashima got what Brad was after without much talk. They were both happy with the deal and were just waiting for the paperwork. The papers would be sent to his family to sign, sent back, and then Brad would get his money. His money guy in the U.S. would sort out the tax part. Brad thought he'd stay in Tokyo for another week or two. After that, he'd go to either Hong Kong or Taipei. He couldn't pick which first, so he might just flip a coin. He would miss his company. He built it from nothing over many years. Would he miss it more than his old family? He thought so. After all, the company had never let him down. When he got back to his hotel that night, there was an email from Irene waiting. He chuckled as he read the note. My always dear Brad, guess what? Something so funny happened. I thought not to share, but can't help it. Mark and Jennifer think you ran off to Aruba to mess with Nathan and your silly wife. And yes, they think you're using the mafia. Vicky texted a lot and called me angry asking where you are. She's sure I know your spot. Trust me, I told her nothing, just Bert knows. She and her tough guy think you're lurking in Aruba. They think you're spoiling their nice trip. Vicky said Nathan is so scared of you popping up that he's having troubles. Oh boy, I really found this as funny as Bert did. I tried to take Vicky's calls seriously, but I ended up laughing so hard. I did tell her I wish you were in Aruba, though. Bert even joked to Nathan about using his company's dental plan if needed. He said it so calmly, too. Anyway, tell us what's up. Bert and I miss you so much. After Vicky's calls, we figured we like you more than Vicky. I don't get Vicky anymore. How sad, right? I told Grace and Aaron, too. Aaron laughed so hard. Grace had a big laugh, too. I miss them. We're hanging out with them this weekend. Sarah heard most of the Vicky chat, so she knows. Please think over your issues with her, Brad. She's really upset about what's going on. I truly believe you can trust Sarah. Let us know what you decide. Maybe we can plan to chat on Skype, Zoom, or something else. I miss seeing your face and hearing your talk. Please let us know when you're free. Don't forget, you're our son. We love you a lot. Irene. There was a big time gap of 14 hours between Irene's place and Tokyo, with Tokyo ahead by a day. Brad thought it over, then sent an email to Irene picking a time for a call on their next Saturday night. He asked Sarah if she could join the call too, if she's not busy. Brad walked around Tokyo feeling a pang of wishfulness that his family could see it with him. Vicky was right on one thing. He wasn't used to being all by himself. For more than 2 decades, he had Vicky and his family. Before that, it was his parents. He had his job too, and while he only knew his co-workers so well, they were there. They looked up to him and trusted him to steer the company right. But here Brad was, all alone in an incredible city, with no one to share it with. He thought of how much Mark would have liked the Imperial Palace in Tokyo, so he took a photo. And the Tokyo Tower? Brad could almost imagine Vicky saying it felt like seeing a small part of Paris on their trip. Or what could have been their trip if Vicky... No. Brad stopped himself. She made her choice, and it wasn't him. The Seiki bar in the hotel was a break from Brad's sad thoughts. Some businessmen, already tipsy from celebrating a big sale, invited Brad to join them. They had earned a lot of money, would soon fly home to their families, and everything was good in their world. For a few hours, Brad drank, spoke, and remembered what family and joy used to feel like. Evan Ralston was someone Brad would remember for a long time. Deep into the night, the two of them talked. Ex-Mrs. Ralston the First. Evan laughed. That was a marriage from young passion. If the base of our marriage was just about sex, it would have been super strong. He took a small sip of sake. Brad pushed the water a bit closer to Evan, hinting at the tough morning ahead. Yet no marriage survives on just desire. We split before 2 years ended, but oh, those were some years. Ex-Mrs. Ralston number 2. I really thought she was it. So smart. Saw through all my nonsense. Ever win a fight with her? No chance. I bet some guy's famous for winning just one time, huh? But smart as she was, she became a top lawyer, rose up fast. Soon we hardly saw each other. She was busy saving big shots, and I was swamped as a COO. After 5 years, it was over. I still see her sometimes. She's with a homebody now. Fits her well. The third Mrs. Ralston was a real mistake. After 1, I knew it wasn't all about lust. After 2, I learned about putting time and work into it. But I put in everything, and she took everything. Evan tried to drink water, chuckled, then burst into laughter. When he calmed down, he continued, She was after my money. She tricked me. What I missed back then? Myself? I thought I was ready and jumped with the first who seemed interested, and she made a fool of me. But Judy, she's all I need. Been 15 years and each one's been love-filled. Without those first 3, I'd never have met her. So what were we even talking about? Both of them burst into laughter. Evan laughed because he was too drunk to think clearly. For Brad, it was a burst of random fun that made him forget his sad past for a bit. The silly advice they shared was funny, but laughing without thinking of his old troubles made Brad truly happy. His laughter was like letting go of a lot of sadness. Vicky ended up taking a taxi from the airport. Nathan said he could drive her, but she said no, hoping maybe, just maybe, Brad would be at home waiting. She knew it was a slim chance, but at least he hadn't shown up in Aruba. Or so she thought. Just worrying about Brad being there had spoiled her time with Nathan a lot. Goodness, Nathan was so not brave. In bed, Nathan was good when he could keep his mind on it. But that didn't happen much in their 2 weeks together. As they got closer to leaving, Nathan got more and more scared. What a chicken he was. Also, the way Vicky's mom and dad acted about her and Nathan on the phone was terrible. They could have been a bit kind. But no, they laughed at her worries. They even said they hoped Brad was in Aruba. That made Vicky really mad. But if she had to say how good her trip was, she'd give the place, the hotel, and the beaches a top score. It was better than she thought. Even with the fear of Brad showing up, Nathan and the stuff they did in bed, maybe a low score. Sure, Nathan knew how to make a woman happy, but he wasn't exciting with the thought of Brad being around. And romance? There was none. They had to cancel so many plans because Nathan was too scared. Why go after a wife if scared of her man? Anyway, Vicky was okay with what she did. It wasn't about Nathan, really. Now, she had to fix things. She needed to make things right. She hoped she could fix everything and go back to her happy life with the man she loved so much. But Brad had to try if he wanted his ring back. It was mean of him to have his mom give Vicky his ring before heading to Aruba. Vicky paid the taxi guy after he took out her bags. She stood outside looking at her big, nice house. Letters had piled up by the door. Brad wasn't there and hadn't been. "Mom, stay away from Nathan," Jen begged again. "Why? It's just for fun," Vicky thought, confused why Jen kept saying this. For 2 weeks, Jen said, "Avoid Nathan. If you want Dad back, you can't see him." "I'll end it when your dad returns. Why can't I have fun with Nathan till then?" "Because Dad will know and may not return, or don't you want him back?" "Jen, Nathan's just a friend to Mom. Dad will understand once he's back. Right, Mom?" Mark tried to calm them, as if it's a problem that could easily be solved. "I'm not saying Nathan's bad." Jen was at her end. She held her head, trying hard not to lose it. "Dad's gone, and with Nathan here, he sure won't come back," she cried out. Vicky looked at her kids, puzzled. Why couldn't Jen see it? Nathan was here. Brad was not. Vicky missed Brad, but he had left without a word. If Brad were here, maybe there'd be no Nathan. That thought made her smile a bit. Nathan wasn't strong, but he had his moments. Plus, Brad left them behind. Vicky stayed. She was here trying to keep their home alive. Brad? He was out there, not even trying to save what they had. Silence. That's all she got from him. "Mom, you hear me?" Jen's voice snapped Vicky back. "Yes, Jen? You're not even listening, as usual." Jen sighed. "How dare you say that?" Vicky felt her anger rise. "You weren't there for Dad?" Jen spelled it out loud and clear. "What was I supposed to do? He was just mad," Vicky argued. "He told you he couldn't live with this mess. But you didn't care. You didn't listen then, and you're not listening now. So what do you want me to do?" Vicky was losing her patience. "Oh, great, this is just a bad joke." Jen slumped on the couch. She remembered something about doing the same thing and expecting a different result. Dad said it, she said it, even Grandma Irene and Grandpa Bert. But it didn't matter. Vicky went back to planning the weekend with Nathan coming over. Jen fought back tears. She had hoped her parents could make things right, but it seemed more hopeless with each day. Deep down, she just wanted her dad back. As for Brad, he was wandering through a market. Brad was tired and empty inside. He was bored and couldn't sit still. He had been on the road for months, and it was starting to get to him. He missed his family a lot. It wasn't as bad as before, but the missing piece was there. He wished he had Vicky with him. Brad was looking for something to light up his hopes, for a fresh start. He didn't want to just wander around without a purpose. He needed something solid in his life. So far, he hadn't found it. Sure, walking through different lands and cities had its thrill. New sights, sounds, smells, and vibes. They were okay for a while. Even the tough time he got in Beijing, just because he had been to Taipei, Taiwan, felt like a small adventure. He almost chuckled, thinking back to the time he was questioned in Beijing. They straight up asked if he worked for the CIA. Brad had laughed, which made everyone in that room quite annoyed. He had said the idea of the CIA was way too hyped up, which didn't sit well with them. But after a few hours of questioning, they let him go. Brad didn't know if they kept tabs on him in Beijing, and honestly, he didn't care. He figured they had enough on him to check out his story. He thought maybe he should go back to Vietnam, spend more time there, maybe a year. His grandpa was a Marine who had done 2 tours in Vietnam. He died there, but Brad didn't know where. He felt a pull to go back and explore the country more. What he was doing now was following the path of American bases in Southeast Asia from the Vietnam War. This had brought him to Thailand. He landed in Bangkok from Ho Chi Minh City, what used to be called Saigon, and then went straight north to Chiang Mai. There used to be an army base there. Green Berets, he found out, were long gone. Then he moved a bit southeast to Nakhon Phanom. This spot had caught his eye. It used to be a U.S. Air Force base for special missions right on the edge of Laos, pretty close to Hanoi. This place was so key that it got a C-130 plane to watch the sky every night when it was dark. There was an older guy who once worked with Brad. He used to be in the Air Force, now working part-time. Brad liked him right away, and they often had lunch together. This man told him about Nakhon Phanom. He was there in 1975 as a security policeman. NKP, they called it, was a secret spot then, its name not said by Air Force folks outside there. Orders didn't name it, just a code. Only those who'd been would know the code. He was on Tiger Flight, working from dusk till dawn. Even in 1975, a year after the Vietnam War officially ended, there were fights at that base in the dark. They didn't call them battles because the Air Force wasn't supposed to fight on the ground according to rules set in 1947. Only the Army or Marines could do ground fights outside an airbase. But it was a hidden war not talked about, and these secret police guys fought it. No Army or Marines were near NKP. The nearest help was 150 miles away at Korat. The policemen at NKP took it on themselves to keep their base safe, often heading into the jungle around to guard their place, going out, setting up traps, doing what they felt needed right then. Sometimes, Viet Cong or Thai communists tried to sneak into NKP base to hit the planes, but they never made it. They were always caught before they could do any harm. In 1975, 2 big tries were made to take over NKP while Americans were there. They had a system for such threats. If they sent a red option 1 alert to Korat, it meant the base was under heavy attack. They had just 1 hour to win back the base or leave. This was because help from Korat would come with F-4 Phantoms ready to drop firebombs all over NKP. Both times they managed to stop the attack within an hour, but once it took almost the full hour to call off the alert. NKP was never going to be given up easily. Brad was eager to see this place. A local guy took him there. But it was all gone, swallowed up by the jungle. Feeling let down, he took a bus to the next place, Korat. The Korat base was still there, but he couldn't get close to it, so he chose to stay a while. It was easy to rent a house, and he thought he'd spend a month there before heading to Bangkok. Korat was a welcoming spot for Americans. Walking around the city was a nice way to spend time. The markets were lively and full of colors. But he often found himself thinking of what Vicky or the kids would like from there. During one market visit, something happening caught his eye. People around started to stop, look, and then walk on. Brad watched too. A fruit seller was holding onto a young boy's arm. The boy looked no older than 10, he guessed. The seller was really mad at the boy, who held some kind of fruit. He had a strong hold on the boy and was shaking him. Then a little girl ran up and hit the seller on the leg. She was younger than the boy and yelling something in Thai, which Brad didn't get. It was clear the seller caught the boy trying to take the fruit without paying. Both kids had very old and torn clothes. Brad watched the whole thing happen. When 2 cops showed up, things got more serious. One cop got mad and yelled at the boy in Thai. Even if you didn't know the words, you could tell the cop was mad. Then he hit the boy. The little girl got grabbed and shook hard. She was crying a lot, maybe calling for her mom or dad. But no grown-ups came to help them. Brad walked over without thinking. The cops and the seller stopped yelling at the kids to look at him. Brad had his hands out, showing he meant no harm, and smiled. "Do you speak English?" "Sorry, I don't know Thai. Can I talk to you for a bit?" Brad kept his voice easy and calm. An older cop walked over to Brad, pulling the girl with him. She was still crying a lot. "What do you want?" the cop asked. He did not seem nice. Brad kept smiling. "Just want to help, okay? The kids? Did they forget to pay?" The cop looked shocked by the question. "Forget? What do you mean, forget?" Brad kept smiling. "The kids," he said, pointing. "They were helping me. Buy fruit. I asked them. You get me?" "What?" "You lie. They were stealing." "No jail for me," Brad said firmly. "I'll pay for the fruit. How much?" Brad knew he didn't speak Thai, but guessed that most people in Asia had a bit of English from school, like American kids learned Spanish or French. He figured saying pay a lot would make his point clear. The seller got the hint and pushed past the 2 cops. "You pay. Yes, you pay." His voice lit up with the sound of money. The cop gave the seller a look, then turned a harsh gaze on Brad. "You lie! You want kids! That's what you're after?" Brad felt his stomach turn. "Are you out of your mind?" he snapped. "Kids? Are you sick? I should knock you out right here. Brad was so mad he could hardly see straight. The thought disgusted him. He wanted to lash out at everyone in that market. The older cop watched Brad, then chuckled. Okay, he said, trying to calm things down. You don't want kids, that's good. But what about the theft? Brad took a moment to cool off. I'll pay for the fruit. Let the seller say the price. The cop nodded. Good. But still, you stole. You ready to pay a fine, too? Brad got the hint. I pay the fine and we're done. No jail, no report. The cop nodded again. You pay, then it's all good. No jail, no paper. Done. Brad agreed with a smile. I'll pay. How much for the fruit? And the fine? They stood under the hot sun for about 30 minutes to agree on a price. The seller ended up getting triple what the single piece of fruit was worth. And the police? They wanted more. Brad paid right there in cash. When all was said and done, Brad figured it all cost him just over $18 US. Not bad at all. Brad now had 2 small kids with him. Both didn't know any English, not a single word. The little girl was crying and holding on to the boy, who just stared at Brad. He smiled and bent down to their level. You guys hungry? Want food? He showed an eating gesture. The girl's tears stopped and her eyes got big. The boy didn't move until the girl tugged on his hand. They had a quick chat in Thai, then the boy nodded at Brad. All right, Brad said. Let's go find some food. He knew a little place nearby where he had eaten before. The food was good there. Brad wasn't sure what exactly he had eaten, but it was tasty. He decided to take the kids there. Standing up, he offered his hands. They were shy at first, but then each kid took a hand. They reached the restaurant in about 5 minutes. The woman running the place didn't seem happy to see the kids at first, but Brad handed her some of his money, and she showed them to a table at the back. The kids looked lost with the menu. Brad guessed they couldn't read. So he got the owner and asked her to pick something good for the kids. She laughed and walked off. Soon she brought back a beer for Brad and what seemed like sodas for the kids. Probably not real Coke, but close. The kids enjoyed it. By their 3rd round, the woman brought out a plate of fried rice and meat on sticks for everyone. To Brad, it could have been monkey or dog, both eaten here. Cat and snake were common too, but Brad was clueless about it. Yet the kids were happy with the meat sticks. He thought the fried rice would be too spicy, but they dove in without a second thought. The little girl chatted away in Thai all through their meal. He didn't get what she was saying, but she was laughing, and laughing was way better than crying. So he laughed too. She was funny, so laughing came easy. The boy didn't talk much, but said a few words here and there. He seemed more into his food. Brad tried to figure out where their parents were, even asking the person who ran the place for help, but got no clear answer. The owner just said to wait. The kids would show him the way after eating. So he waited. After the kids were full, unable to eat another bite, he paid and took the leftover food with him, and there was a lot of it. This time the kids grabbed his hands. They led him to something that looked like a church. It even had a cross in front. Finding a Christian church in Karat, Thailand was the last thing Brad expected. But then again, why not? The Thai people were the nicest and most open Brad ever met. Except if you were a thief. They didn't like thieves. Besides that, you couldn't find nicer folks. The kids pulled him inside. It was so dark he had to stay still for a bit until his eyes got used to it. The kids waited with him. When he could see, they led him to a seat. The boy smiled and the girl hugged his leg. Then they walked up to a place cut off by a rail from the front part of the church. Brad wasn't big on religion. His family wasn't either. They were kind of Catholic, but only did the basics. He knew right away what the kids were doing at the rail. They were praying. In a soft voice, Brad sat for a long while until an older man sat next to him. He wore a priest's collar. Brad looked at him, curious. The priest looked back, also curious. Then Brad pointed at himself, and then at the kids. Ah, the priest whispered. You watch kids? What? No, I don't think so. They took me here. What are they praying for? The priest gave a small smile. They pray for Dad who died. Dad died 1 year ago. Is it... Cancer? Yes, thank you. Cancer, boy, girl. Pray here every day for Dad. Soul, you get it? Every day? The priest nodded. Every day, no matter what, pray here, wait for Mom. She works. Long hours, 12, 14 hour, every day. Kids wait here. Kids believe in God? Priest smiled, shook his head. Not exactly. Just ask God to think of Dad. Thanks, Brad said to the priest. I'll wait here with the kids for Mom, okay? Priest smiled, nodded, then went away. The kids kept praying. Brad found it odd. Kids this young usually can't stay still. Yet, here they were, not moving an inch. About 10 minutes after the priest went, the kids stopped praying. They stood, smiled at Brad, and sat next to him on the bench. The girl climbed into his lap, resting her head against his chest. The boy hugged Brad's arm, laid his head on it, and fell asleep fast. Brad raised his brows, looking at the girl. She smiled, hugged him, then rested her head again on his chest. She was asleep quickly, too. So Brad sat there thinking. This was unexpected for him. He didn't have a watch, preferred his phone, which was now under the sleeping girl. He had no clue about the time or when their mom might come. If she would come at all, she would, right? Brad only knew one thing for sure. He had to get rid of the beer he drank at the restaurant. Darn beer. You don't keep it. You just borrow it for a bit. To keep his mind off things, he thought about these two kids who came to this dim little church every day to pray for their dad who had passed away. They weren't from this faith, but here they were, every day, praying for their dad. Who does that? Brad figured their dad must have been a really great guy for the kids to love him so much, even a year after he was gone. Who does that? He wrapped his left arm around the little girl and squeezed gently. She made a tiny sound and snuggled closer to him. Brad smiled. She reminded him of his own kids when they were her age. And then he felt sad. His kids. Did they miss him? Did they think about him? Probably not. They probably wouldn't pray for him. No. They were likely out eating pizza with Nathan, unless Nathan was busy with Vicky. Then, Mark and Jennifer might leave some pizza in the fridge for Nathan. Damn. Brad couldn't stop comparing himself to this beloved dad. This dad had everything. His kids still loved him a lot, enough to pray for him a year after he was gone. What did Brad have? Nothing. Everything he did, everything he worked hard for, every bit of himself he gave, all wasted. His life was just a dream that turned into a nightmare, a sad, empty nightmare. At some point, Brad fell asleep. He felt the lightest touch on his left shoulder while he slept, and he smiled, thinking a tiny fairy had come by. Then another, and a third, though this one felt a bit heavier. And then, what? Brad woke up. It was still dark, but he could see. There was a woman standing in front of him, a young woman, and she was pretty. She looked at him in a strange way. "Children me," she said. She had a sweet voice. "Is that your name?" he asked, half asleep, confused. She looked mad for a sec. "Kids, mine." "Kids? Ah, sorry, these two? Your kids?" "Yes, my kids." Brad tried to smile. Man, he needed to pee. "It's okay," he said. "They were nice company. I fell asleep." He pointed to the food left from the meal. "Hungry? We ate some corn dish. You hungry? Please have some." She looked puzzled, then a priest came over. They talked in Thai, and she seemed less wary, just tired and confused. She glanced at the food again. After talking more, it was decided. Brad would carry the sleeping kids to their home for the woman, Tamthong, and she'd take the food. Odd as it was, she trusted him. Maybe she just needed help. Her place was a small, sad mess, but calling it a mess was kind. The woman and her kids slept on a clean pile of blankets on the floor. No pillows. Yet, everything was clean. He was surprised. With the kids asleep, no nightclothes to put them in, he asked about using her toilet. He had to mime, which was awkward. She didn't mind, showing him a small room at the back. No toilet, just a hole in the ground. She got what he meant. Alone, he used the hole. He walked out to see her munching on the cold food. She was eating fast. This lady was just as hungry as the kids had been. She seemed to like his company, so he stayed. He didn't have anything else to do, and she looked lonely. She didn't speak English well, but he got the gist of it. Brad got about a quarter of what she said. That was enough. Her husband had been a worker, got sick, the cancer the priest talked about, and passed away. No money was left after. She didn't have much schooling, so she could only find a job washing dishes at a tiny, filthy place. She disliked it there. The boss was mean, but she had no choice. She needed the job for her kids. Brad really felt a bond with her. She wasn't just trying to make him feel sorry, she just told it how it was, and Brad appreciated that. He stayed up with her until nearly 1 a.m., then she said she needed to sleep. She had work at 8 a.m. Brad thanked her for the chat. She thanked him for the food and for looking after her kids, and he left. He found his rental house easily despite the dark. The next day, he was at the market again and saw the kids eyeing the food stands. He laughed, joined them, and took them to eat at the same place. Then he went with them to the church, waited until Tamthong came and had leftovers for her. This became their daily thing. Find the kids, feed them, wait while they prayed, then give Tamthong food, and enjoy a talk until she had to sleep. In the second week, he saw where she worked. The place was awful, and that made him mad. He didn't know why, but he felt it was right. By the fourth week, Brad made up his mind. He didn't even realize he was thinking about it. But he chose to stay in Korat for a long time. He wanted to help Tamthong and her kids, who he had become very fond of. The house he was renting was cheap, with furniture, for just a bit over $500 a month. It was big for Thai living, with 3 bedrooms and a real bathroom with both a tub and shower. There were beds and sheets. The smallest room had 2 small beds. It also had a fenced backyard with a little pool and a lot of space out front. The area was quite nice, a good place for them to live. He just needed to convince Tamthong to leave her job and work for him as a housekeeper who lived with him. He thought it would be easy. It wasn't. Brad didn't think she'd take his offer the wrong way, thinking he wanted her more as a partner than a worker. She got really mad when he first asked her. She spoke fast in Thai, very upset. So he got the priest to help. Brad showed him the house and asked him to talk to Tamthong. The priest said yes, and they planned for him, Tamthong, and her kids to come over to Brad's for an early breakfast. Very early. It still took 3 weeks for Tamthong to believe Brad wasn't after something else. He just wanted help. Plus, he needed someone to keep the house clean. The timing was right because Tamthong was very upset with her boss at the small restaurant she worked at. She said yes to Brad's offer. Brad let Tamthong and the priest work out how much she'd be paid and the rules about her and the kids living with him. She used to make $1.84 a day at the restaurant. Brad said he'd give her $1.10 a day to work for him, but she said no way. That was too much cash for the housework he wanted. So the priest and Tamthong talked it over. They settled on $3 a day. Plus, Brad would buy clothes for the kids and teach them English. The kids weren't going to school, so Brad got them a tutor. He also wanted Tamthong to learn English too. They talked it over for days before agreeing. Brad moved them into his house with just 1 trip. The kids loved it, not just because of the big, nice house. They really liked Brad and felt safe with him. Tamthong was scared at first, but after a few weeks, she saw Brad was good. He never made her feel uncomfortable, and seeing her kids laugh with him made her happy. Tamthong did the shopping, with Brad sometimes tagging along. He was picking up a bit of Thai, just enough to get by when she haggled at the market. Tamthong could drive a hard bargain. She was also an amazing cook. She'd tell Brad off if he tried to help clean up after meals. He was paying her for that. Her kids would jump in if she needed help. The kids stopped going to their small church but kept praying for their dad at home, by their bed. Tamthong thought they should stop. They weren't Christian. But Brad said let them be. When Tamthong learned about Brad's past, his own loss, she saw things differently. Her kids remembering their dad helped Brad feel better about his own lost ones. "Dump, Bert!" Nathan lifted his glass high and drank it down fast. "Ah, that's the stuff." "What's up, Nate?" Dwayne said. "Why dump Bert?" "The old guy's been a real pain since I took Vicky to Aruba. Keeps throwing dumb, mean words at me. I've had enough of his nonsense." "He's still on about that?" "Yep. It's not my fault Vicky wants something more. If her not-so-great husband was doing his job, Vicky wouldn't even glance my way. Why should I get flack for their bad marriage?" Nathan finished his beer in a long gulp. Catching the bartender's eye, Nathan gave his mug a little wave. The bartender filled it up again with the tap beer. "Want another shot?" asked the bartender. "Yeah, no big talks till 9 tomorrow. Fill it up." "Man, will you be okay tomorrow? Just watching you drink makes me feel for my liver." Dwayne shook his head. "It's nothing. Man, you should have seen me in Aruba. Vicky was so scared we might get into trouble, we had to drink just to calm down. All this, just the start. Nathan shook his head. Man, forget that guy and his family. I'm gonna have Vicky every which way this weekend. Bert's little girl is gonna be all over the place. Wanna bet she won't show at work Monday 'cause sitting's too hard for her? Dwayne chuckled. Okay, here's $20 she's there Monday. Deal, easy cash. Nate, why Vicky? You got others, right? Why make Bert mad over her? She was the top prize, boss's happy wife. Those others? Too easy. A grin, a nod, and they were all over me. No fun in that. But Vicky, she was the real test. And man, you've seen her. Makes those other girls look like nothing. Dunno if I'll ever get enough of her. Just thinking about her. Might not last till Saturday. Might need to see her tonight. You just think with what's down there, Nate. Seems fine for Maverick, didn't it? Nate, this will come back to bite you. Pete, quiet till now, made Nathan remember he was there. What's that mean? Some bad luck stuff? Pete sighed. No, not luck. Know why bad guys get caught? There's always a risk. Take a risk enough times and you lose. So I'm a bad guy now? Nathan shot back. No, yes. Hell, I don't know. Just know if you did that to my kid, I'd be real mad. You're not a bad guy, but you're making people mad. I'm the bad one here? Pete turned to Nathan, looked him right in the eye. To some, yeah. It don't matter if you think what you do is okay. Those hurt by cheating, you're top on their bad list. He sighed. Look, Nate, you're not a bad dude. We wouldn't hang if we thought you were. But it's not just Dwayne and me. It's all those others who see you messing up marriages. Telling us who's to blame won't change how they see it. They're not here listening to your side. Pete, a bit tipsy, shared his thoughts before he left. Watch out. You can't play around forever. It'll catch up to you. He finished his drink and said bye. Soon after, Dwayne left too. Nathan stayed, thinking over his last beer. He found Dwayne dumb. Dwayne's wife was likely cheating. Nathan knew because he had been with her. But he stopped after learning she was too easy. He didn't want an STD. Pete's advice got to him, though. Maybe it was time to settle? Not get married, though. Nathan didn't want that. Vicky was fun, and he wasn't ready to let her go. But nothing serious. Dwayne and Pete were fun to hang out with. Nathan was worried since Vicky's kids said Brad was after him. Vicky's husband was a crazy man, and she was the best he had, yet she was married to a loon. Nathan remembered a past encounter. Wendy Lawson was fun, and they didn't take her husband seriously. But when he found out, he punched Nathan so hard it hurt to chew. Wendy pulled her husband away before it got worse. That hurt a lot. Now, Nathan was more careful. He checked the husbands first. Brad seemed easy. Vicky had him under control. He was always quiet and didn't seem like a threat to Nathan. Nathan was always looking around, checking the dark spots, wondering if the next guy to come in was there to fight him. He downed his last shot, hoping it would help him chill until he could get home. The more he thought about it, the more he liked the idea of leaving. Dwayne and Pete might not be tough, but they were company. Alone, Nathan felt too out in the open. He finished his beer fast, left some money for the tip, and headed home. Mark, can you get that? Vicky yelled from the kitchen. Got it. Mark shouted back and opened the door. Hey man, you look great, Nathan said, shaking Mark's hand. Nathan, we didn't think you'd be here so soon. Come on in. Mark welcomed Nathan inside. What's that you've got? Oh, this? Just some barbecue sauce and chips. Wasn't sure what to bring. Cool. I'll just put this in the kitchen. Mark took the bag to the kitchen. Barbecue sauce? Didn't he remember we use a special rub in Dad's secret sauce? Then it hit Mark. It was Dad's sauce. Who would make it now? Did his mom know how? Maybe they would need Nathan's sauce after all. Nathan! Jen shouted and hugged Nathan tightly. Jen, how's school? Jen got quiet. Oh, we're working it out. What's there to work out? You pick your classes, show up, do your work. That's it. Did it get hard since I left? Jen smiled. No, not that. School's okay, but Dad stopped sending money. Mark and I are trying to work out how to pay for the next term. Oh, well, something will turn up, Nathan said, not really thinking about it. Then it hit him. What if the Duncans thought he was in this for the long haul? Vicky was fun, and he'd keep her around longer than the others, but Nathan wasn't looking to get tied down. He silently hoped to any god that might listen to someone like him. Let this just stay fun. I'm sure we'll find a way. Mom thinks Grandma might help. But let's talk about you. How's it going? Good. Aruba was fun. I think your mom came back happy too. Nathan gave Jen a small tease and she laughed. Yeah, she does look happy. Shame you didn't join more. Yep, a shame. Got plans this weekend? I was thinking of hanging out with Vicky, you and your bro. Sounds cool? Nathan hoped deep down they'd be busy. He wanted Vicky all to himself for lots of fun, Nathan thought. Looks like it's just you and Mom then. Mark and I are back to school. That's a pity. We'll meet up some other time. Inside, Nathan felt lucky. He wondered maybe there's some kind of high power making this happen. Nathan smiled at his own thought. Maybe being top dog means winning over someone amazing. Vicky was nearly there in Nathan's eyes, and he'd happily think of her that way. Nathan and Jen walked into the kitchen where Mark was helping Vicky with the cooking. Nathan hugged Vicky tight, kissed her, then kissed her neck. Stop, Nathan! You do know I'm holding a knife, right? Vicky laughed, trying to push him away as she chopped a bell pepper, but she ended up pulling him closer instead. She had to really push when his hands started to wander. Nathan, my kids are here. Jen was laughing. We can go, Mom. No, stay. Dinner won't be ready. Stop, Nathan. Dinner won't get done if you... Nathan! Vicky was now a bit annoyed, and Nathan understood, stepping back, but he stole one last kiss, making Vicky laugh again. Enough. Sit down, let me finish. Jen, give our guest a beer. Vicky smiled at Nathan, having got that beer just for him because it was his favorite from Aruba. Wow? Really? Nathan was surprised when Jen handed him the beer. Where did you... I ordered it. Nice pick, Vicky jumped in. You got it. Thanks. Mark, try one. Okay, Mark said, soft, eyeing Vicky. She gave a thumbs up. Yeah, okay. He cheered up. Mark got a beer and tried to like his first sip. He was young and didn't really get beer yet, which made Nathan laugh when Mark made a face. You'll get it. College is about how much, not the taste. You'll start to like it when you're not flipping cups for fun. He best not be flipping cups. Vicky looked at Mark sharp. I'm not, I promise, Mark said to Vicky, giving Nathan a secret grin she missed. When Vicky went back to making dinner, Mark and Nathan traded a knowing look. All was fine then. Dinner was tasty, but Mark and Jen didn't taste Brad's sauce. It made the meal. Vicky tried to copy it, but it wasn't the same. Without it, everything tasted off, and Mark and Jen went for a sauce Nathan brought. Jen felt a tear slip out, scared she might never taste Dad's sauce again. Mark and Jen left after they cleaned up. As soon as the door shut, Nathan and Vicky were all over each other. Dwayne had lost that bet if Nathan had his way. Vicky loved her coffee the next morning. Last weekend with Nathan was top-notch. She missed Brad and wanted him back, but with him gone, Nathan filled the gap. He forgot his worries from Aruba and made up for lost time the past months. This was the Nathan Vicky liked, the one she needed. Mark and Jen were popping over again this weekend. Vicky needed her kids. Her folks hardly talked to her, no help there. Coming home to no one every day was sad and hard. Vicky was about to get more coffee when her phone rang. She picked up, not looking at the caller ID. Hello? She asked. Mom, you okay? It was Jen, sounding worried. Yes, dear, Vicky said, adding cream and sugar to her coffee. Just making coffee. What's up? Heading out already? About that, Mom. I can't come this weekend. That's all right. Vicky tried to sound okay. She would miss Jen, but knew her daughter had her own life. Summer break is soon. We'll hang out a lot then. Mom, I might not come home much. Why? Vicky was shocked. It's Nathan, Mom. I can't be around him. Last weekend you two were fine. You even hugged him. I know, and I felt bad all week. I kept thinking about what Nathan means for us. What do you mean Nathan hasn't been a problem? Don't lie. Everything has its price. School, kids, marriage. The price of your affair was our dad, and backing you cost Mark and me our dad. Wow, that's a bit much, Vicky said, not taking her daughter seriously. Stop it, Mom. At the barbecue, I kept thinking, where's Dad? He used to make the ribs. He listened to Mark and me, helped us, made us laugh. And Nathan doesn't? That's not true. You liked being with him. Mom, this isn't about Nathan. Yes, I like Nathan, but it's not the same. He's a good guy, but not Dad. If I had to pick who I want, it's Dad. Every time. That's the thing. If Nathan's here, Dad won't come back. Wow, so much going on. So you're not coming back? Jen let out a big sigh. No, Mom, I'll come back, just not much. I need to get a job for my car and school. I'll stay away from Nathan and maybe, just maybe, find Dad. Jen, dear, that's okay. But could you wait a bit to do that? It's so quiet here and I'd love to have you and Mark over. I won't invite Nathan for a while, how's that? Jen didn't like this. She cared for her mom and knew she felt sad all alone. Okay, Mom, I'll come over next weekend. I'm busy this weekend, but should be free after. Vicky and Jen talked some more. Jen found some starter jobs that paid well. One even helped with school costs. Jen would have to change schools and redo some classes, but it seemed like a good deal. Nathan moved off Vicky. They were both sweaty and catching their breath. Vicky had a huge, silly smile. Nathan thought he had done well this time. If she had a cigarette, Vicky would look like she was from an old movie after lovemaking. Wow, Vicky said, looking up. She had kept away from Nathan for more than a week. Jen's talk about choosing made Vicky think twice about needing Nathan. But tonight, feeling alone, her will to stay away broke and they ended up in bed. Just wow? Nathan asked, eyebrow up. You're right, that was great. Better than your no-good husband, right? Nathan grinned. What? Vicky snapped. She turned away, clearly mad. Nathan, puzzled, looked at her. What did I say? Hey, that jerk left you because he knew he couldn't do that to you. Leave! Leave now! What? Leave! Now! Vicky shoved Nathan, trying to get him out of the bed. What's up with you? You're not even half as good in bed as Brad. You're not even half the man he is. Take your stuff and go. Nathan got up and started to put on his clothes. Are you for real? He dumps you. Doesn't even try to keep you. And you're kicking me out? Forget it. You're not worth it. Nathan had his pants on, grabbed the rest of his clothes, and left. The slamming of the bedroom door felt like an end to Vicky's world. How could Nathan say that about Brad? Nathan was just a side guy, not Brad. Brad was everything she wanted. Vicky felt less mad now. Brad was all she wanted. She looked around the empty room. Little of Brad was there now. She hid photos of Brad and her. It felt bad to have them with Nathan around, both as a slap to Brad and their marriage and for Nathan, too. But now, the room felt like a hotel, not the place where she lived with Brad for years. It could be anyone's room. Vicky heard the front door slam and knew Nathan was gone. Then she felt truly alone. Her own mom and dad were far away. They didn't call her much. She heard about her dad from Nathan more than from her mom. Jen didn't come by much either. Her job took all her time. Even when she did come, she was different. The daughter who was there for Vicky during her time with Nathan was gone. She was nice, but didn't care much about Vicky and Nathan being together. Jen gave up hope for Vicky and Brad. This caused fights between Vicky and Jen. They had arguments, silent, angry times. Jen was close to sad and blamed Vicky for it. Vicky was mad at Jen, and they were growing apart. Vicky didn't want this gap, but Jen was stuck in her ways. Mark was still around now and then. He cared a lot for Vicky, her last bit of family left, but Mark often put himself first. Vicky knew Mark was here more for himself than for her. If Brad was still taking care of things, Mark would be out with his pals more. Jen, on the other hand, always put family first. Nathan here. Mr. Schaefer wants to see you, Nathan heard Maureen say. Okay, I'll be right there. Nathan put away his files, cleaned his desk, and checked if anything else might keep him back from another sit-down with Bert. Nathan figured it was going to be more of the same, with Bert hinting Nathan was a trouble. With his desk neat, Nathan breathed deep, ready for what was next. As Nathan walked to the lifts, he saw Dwayne looking mad. Bad day? Was Bert mad too? What was up? You goddamn jerk! Dwayne was fuming. Dwayne? What's the matter? What's the matter? You were with her? You were with Nancy. Nathan saw Dwayne's fists tight, stopping himself from hitting Nathan. Oh no! He didn't know. Hold on, Dwayne, calm down. Don't calm down me, you traitor. Dwayne was right in Nathan's face. Lucky we're at work. Keep away from me. Dwayne left, cheeks flaming. This is a nightmare of a week, Nathan thought. How did Dwayne find out? Should I even ask what else might go wrong? Nathan hadn't noticed he was shaking and sweating. He had thought Dwayne was a pushover. Now, Nathan wasn't so sure. Dwayne might turn out to be tougher than Brad. At least Brad had gone away. Nathan had to deal with Dwayne, and many at work liked him. This is bad, he thought again. The lift was on floor 1, giving Nathan a bit of time. Dwayne had scared him a lot, yet time was still too short, he thought. If not for the cash Bert gave him, Nathan would be out. That's not all true. He eyed some ladies he had yet to get close to. After that, he'd leave. Avoiding Dwayne seemed doable. Would any of Dwayne's mates step up? They might put on a show but do nothing real. Nathan was sure of it. The lift rang and reached Bert's level. Snapped back to the now, Nathan walked to Bert's front desk lady. Got lost? Maureen joked as Nathan showed up. Nathan tried to think of a smart, flirty reply, but Maureen never showed him any signs. She was a late-20s looker, matching Snow White. Dark hair, soft, pale skin, and bright red lips always. If not for her chatty way with Bert, Nathan would peg her as cold. She had real smiles and laughs for Bert. To Nathan, she seemed without feeling. He now saw she wore a wedding band next to her engagement ring. Suddenly, Nathan wanted her more. Before, she was just attractive. With that ring, she was on his list. The thought of her dropping her guard for him pushed all troubles out of his mind. A new target. Vicky. Nathan still puzzled over that night. She had tossed him out? That was new. And why? Her not their husband? Vicky had picked Nathan over him, then flipped? Fine, let her come back wanting. The sea is big, full of fish like Maureen. Yeah. How about next time you guide me so I don't? Maureen just shook her head, not even a grin. Tough. Nathan had hoped for at least a tiny smile. Maureen grabbed her phone. Mr. Schaefer? Yeah, he's here. Send him up? Got it. Maureen hung up. This way. Right behind you, Nathan whispered. Getting the volume right was a skill. Too soft and you seemed flirty. Too loud and it was just rude. But Maureen didn't react. She walked ahead, and Nathan followed, watching her move. Need anything else, Mr. Schaefer? Maureen asked Bert. No, all good. Thanks, Maureen. She gave Bert a smile and left, closing the door. Nathan, have a seat. Bert gestured toward a couch. Bert's office setup was a giveaway. 2 couches meant a chat about personal stuff or smoothing things over. The chairs by his desk, straight-up business talks. Nathan knew sitting on the couch meant he was in for a tough chat. Nathan, glad you could make it. Not like I had a choice, Nathan replied. Drink? Sure. Bert poured them both a good shot of Glenlivet. Nathan was relieved. At least Bert wasn't cheap with his liquor. He took his glass. Thanks. Nathan, you know I'd hate to see you go, right? You're a big deal here. I get it. I'm the moneymaker, Nathan half-joked. Right. So have you thought about leaving? Maybe looked around? Why would I, Bert? Deep down, Nathan was tired. The issue with Vicky getting kicked out of his place. Why was this mess landing on him? It was Vicky's drama. Well, Nathan, it's about to get a lot tougher here, Bert put it straightforwardly. No hard feelings. Think about it, Bert said. Men don't like when others sleep with their wives. It seems you have done this a lot here, not just with my kid. I heard one guy knows. Soon others will too. So, if their wife cheats, that's on them, Nathan said. But it's not just them. Bert leaned in, hands together. You were there too. Those women will talk about how you got them to cheat. Their husbands won't like you much then. You helped it happen. They won't think you're good. Get it? Nathan gave a half nod. He thought about a few husbands at work who could make trouble for him, not face-to-face, but messing with his money or computer. But would they really? They couldn't keep their wives happy. That's why they went to him. Should he be scared of these guys? Bert's voice brought him back. I called some places. They're waiting for your call if you want to move on. Are you kicking me out, Bert? Nathan got mad fast, seeing the paper slide his way. No way. He wouldn't be pushed out. He was the top guy here. If Bert wanted him gone, Nathan would leave on his terms. Not pushed out like this. No way. I'm not firing you, just giving you choices. Good, 'cause you can't fire me. Bert let out a big sigh. Nathan, I'm making it easy for you. Just go. These jobs are good, Bert said, but he knew that wasn't quite true. They'd be a step down and those places would watch Nathan like a hawk. But Nathan was tough, hard to kill. Bert didn't like him one bit. He wished Nathan had tried something with Irene. She'd have torn him apart and tossed his bits into the Glenlivet. And Bert wouldn't have cared about the scotch going to waste. You move on, start fresh, and all this trouble goes away. Trouble? What bloody trouble, Bert? Dwayne's got no guts, he can stuff it. So can the rest. I'm out when I say I'm out. Got it? Nathan stood up. Thanks for the drink. The door banged shut after Nathan. Bert sighed. He'd given Nathan many chances. This was the last straw, and he owed Irene again. Bert picked up his phone. Irene? Hi, love. You talked to him? Bert sighed. Yeah. Irene laughed. I win again? Damn it. Yeah, you win. The fool wouldn't listen. I even called around for him. You did even more, and he still said no? Oh, Bert, that's hardly fair. I'll go broke with these bets. Maybe dinner instead of paying up? I'd love that, Bert. Bert heard Irene take a breath. Bert, the bets don't matter. I wish you were right, but it's out of our hands now. I thought we'd wait for the meeting. We are. Just saying it was his last shot. Bert, are we doing okay? Yes, we are. No second thoughts. He chose this. The car signaled trouble, and Nathan saw it was overheating. Great. He was in a part of town you didn't stop in, not in an $80,000 car. It'd be stripped in minutes. Seeing a lit parking lot, Nathan pulled in. If he didn't stop his car, the engine would for sure go bust. Good thing his stolen car had insurance. Nathan found the roadside help number and called. On the other end, a nice lady said a tow truck would come in an hour. Nathan waited for 20 minutes, looking at people he didn't like walk by. Then he thought the bar across the street looked safer. His car seemed too easy to spot. Hey, friend, got a match? Nathan just shut his car door and turned. A big man was coming fast toward him. No, I don't have a damn. Nathan got cut off when the big guy's fist hit his belly. It knocked all the air out of him. He wanted to yell for help but couldn't breathe. You've been asking for this. Another hit made Nathan's side ache. His knees buckled, but he didn't fall. The man was holding him, dragging him away from the car. Why? Nathan finally got out, but asking that, instead of shouting for help, was dumb. He knew it when the man hit him again, making him lose all air. Nathan noticed they were in a dark alley. Oh no, was his last thought before pain hit him. A hard kick landed on him. Now he really knew what a steel-toe boot felt like. No, can't pass out yet, the man said. Nathan was trying to breathe. His insides hurt bad from the kick. He barely felt a slap on his face. Hey, you still with me? Nathan tried to yell. He really did. But pain turned his yell into just a soft noise. Fine. Bad guys like you don't just get to go out cold. A punch hit Nathan's mouth and he felt his teeth snap. He spat out blood and bits of teeth with the next breath. Nathan felt himself slipping away and was almost glad. But before he sunk into blackness, he got a kick down low and a hit to his ear that knocked him over. Then all went dark. Beep, beep, beep. Nathan woke in a dim room. His eyes half open, he saw a beeping machine by his side. The beep felt odd. The machine was to his left. Why did it seem to come from the right? He looked right. He thought another machine must be there beeping too. But there was nothing. Turning back left, a bandage pressed against his ear and caused sharp pain. Nathan yelled, and a nurse rushed over. She said something, added something to his IV, and Nathan drifted off once more. Nathan? A soft woman's voice reached him. Nathan didn't know her. He's waking, doctor. Just a bit more time. Nathan's eyes slowly opened. The pain was less, and he felt okay, more or less. He stayed still. He didn't want that pain back. He focused on the woman, likely a nurse, and a man beside her. Must be the doctor, he guessed. Nathan, I'm Dr. Wells. Can you hear me? Nathan nodded. Good. Now follow my pen. Nathan did what he said as the doctor checked on him with different tests. Very good, Nathan. Now we need to talk. Do you remember how you came here? Nathan shook his head. Maybe. It was hard to tell if it really moved. The cops are here. They need to know what happened. Do you remember anything? Nathan tried to recall stopping his car. He knew he got out, but then what? He shook his head again. Right. His head did move. A little. Okay, I'll tell them, but they might come in to talk to you soon. So we got to chat about a few big things. First up, you were in real bad shape. Like super close to dying, not just once, but twice when you were in surgery. You had a lot of bleeding inside, and to be honest, things were worse than we thought when you first got here. But we made it through all that cutting and fixing, and now you should start to get better. Okay? Now for where things stand, you got a really bad hit on the head. We're gonna keep a close eye on you, but you gotta let us know if you start feeling all mixed up or sick to your stomach, that kind of thing. The doctor stopped for a sec, cleared his throat. Also, We had to take out one of your kidneys. This isn't going to stop you from living your life. You can totally do just fine with one, but we'll give you some info to read so you can take care of the kidney you got left. And there's no easy way to say this. You lost both your testicles and the damage to your penis is real bad. Might mean you can't get hard anymore. That's the tough part. About your penis, there's a surgery we might try to get some use back, if that's something you want to know more about. I gotta get a specialist to look, but from what I see, don't expect too much. You want me to get more info? What? Nathan couldn't believe he lost his testicles and penis. He hadn't cried in forever, didn't think he had a reason to, but now he felt a tear roll down his face. Yes. All right, I'll make the call and the doc will see you in a few days. The sooner we get the surgery done, the better. Now about your testicles. We can't make them work again, but we can put in fake ones. It might make things feel and look more normal. It's a pretty easy fix if you're interested. Nathan just nodded. Nurse, get Dr. Swanson here in, 3 days. That'll give us time after the first surgery. Okay, Nathan, your face is still pretty swollen and you got a lot of cuts that are going to scar pretty bad. Dr. Swanson said he could help. Could you help me with that? Nathan asked softly. Sure. We might need to talk more later. For now, we'll keep an eye on you. If you hurt or need anything, press the call button, the doctor said before leaving. He paused. Do you want us to call someone for you? No. There's no one, Nathan whispered. Brad was out on his back porch. It was a super hot day. He watched Tam Thong in the small pool under the little waterfall he made. Tam Thong was facing away, enjoying the cool water, wringing her long hair. She didn't wear a top. In Thailand, that was normal by the water. Her skin was a deep, beautiful brown from the sun. Even after having 2 kids, she looked amazing. Today was the day for Brad to fix things, after thinking it over since their trip to Fiji with family. He planned a video call on his terms to keep it short. Brad looked sick, his tone icy as he began the call. I'm only doing this video call because my lawyer said it was good for me. I don't really want to talk to you, Vicky. Seeing you or hearing you makes me feel sick. I don't want to talk to you two either. Jen's face went white, and tears started falling. Mark looked very sad too. Vicky didn't show much feeling, but it looked like she was shaking. His wife and kids looked thinner than he remembered. Brad looked at their faces, then made a face himself. So, Brad went on, okay, forget it, we're talking now. This might teach you something. Do you see the 3 people with me? The lady and 2 kids? They're a family. She's in her late 20s. The boy is 12 and the girl is 10. The lady's husband died 3 years ago. He was sick and didn't have any money help. They had a little money saved, but paying for the sickness and the funeral used it all up. The lady worked in a very small, dirty place to eat. Let's call it a diner. Believe me, you wouldn't want to eat anything from there. She worked long hours washing dishes for very little money. After paying for where they lived, there wasn't much money left. Sometimes she brought home food that wasn't sold at the place. Are you listening? Vicky sighed. She didn't get why Brad was telling them this, but she didn't stop him. He was finally talking to them. Mark and Jen looked at the woman and kids as their dad told them about their hard life. She couldn't bring food home every day. Mostly she couldn't because the boss wanted her to pay for the food, but not with money. Get this. The lady running that mess of a place wanted her to do bad things just to feed her kids crumbs that rats didn't touch. And more often than not, she came back empty-handed. Only got something when the boss was gone. Think about it. She needed food, but wouldn't do anything bad for it. Not like you, Vicky, not caring at all. She's all about respect, self-worth, and honor. She'd rather starve than let her kids think badly of her, all for some barely edible scraps. You see, the kids took matters into their own hands. They tried to get food the only way they could think of, by stealing, but let's be real, they weren't any good at it. The boy got caught, and he was facing real jail time, not the kind for kids because that doesn't exist here. So I bumped into them about 1.5 years ago. I was there when the boy tried to take a piece of fruit. His sister wouldn't leave him, so she got caught too. A real lesson in sticking together, just so you know. The cops were ready to take them, but I stepped in. I paid the shop owner 3 times the value of the fruit and gave the cops 20 times that to forget the whole thing. All up, it cost me $18.13 US to clear it up. Then I got them a real meal. Not sure if they ever had one before, you know? After, they wouldn't show me where they lived, but they did something strange. They took me to a rundown church to pray. Weird, right? Brad looked at the faces of his ex-family as he told the story. I saw them, curious, thinking they'd run from me, but they held my hands to the church. Inside, they both bent to pray. I didn't know their words then, so I couldn't tell what they prayed for. But the priest, he spoke okay English. He shared that those two kids, not even following his faith, came to his church daily to pray. For their dad who passed, they learnt from the priest about God and hope and all, thinking it might help their dad. Those kids hoped a God they didn't follow would remember their father hadn't been left behind. They hit that church every day after their mom went to work, praying for their dad's soul every single day. A 10-year-old boy and his 8-year-old sister did that, on their own, every day. Who does that, I'll tell you? Someone who loves and honors a parent, even in death. I stayed with the kids in the church until their mom came late to get them. That's where she found them each night. Sitting in that church with those kids, I thought of my own dad's story. I thought I left all the hurt and anger with your lies when I left the U.S. But maybe not. That dad, the kid's father, had nothing when alive, and here were his kids, a year after he died, praying for him just feet away from me. Me? I was rich many times over. I had been a loyal, loving husband and dad. I loved my family more than anything. My family never needed anything in their lives, not money, my time, my love, and devotion. Nothing was ever kept from you three if I could help it. Yet, I have nothing to show for all I gave for 20 years of my life. I got a wife who only cares for herself and 2 kids who'd ignore me unless they really had to bother. So here's the deal. I took the mom from a bad job and let them all move in with me. Not for any bad reasons. That's your style, Vicky, not mine. The lady works for me, looks after her kids in a place that's safe and full of love. I did it to give them a better life, because I could, and they sure needed the help. I didn't plan to stick around at first. I was just roaming, trying to get away from the mess my life had turned into. This was just another stop, a place to find some peace, or something new to make my life mean something again. Then I met those kids and found what I'd been looking for, a reason to be. I'm not sure where I messed up before, but this time I'm getting it right. I've decided to stay. Things are simpler here, less hurt. I can laugh and smile again, which means more than you can imagine after losing it, because of those you trusted most. That's all I've got to say. Maybe it makes you think, maybe not. I'm betting not. But I'm happy now, and that's how it'll stay. You all wanted this call, so say what you need to and let's end it. Jen's crying, and even Vicky's got tears. Dad, stop. Don't call me that, Mark. I'm not your father anymore because that's what you chose. The moment you turned your back on me, you lost any right to me. Mark sank into his chair. Brad, out with it, Vicky. Let's end this talk. Brad, hear me out. Stop this. It's all my fault. All of it. I'm so sorry for hurting you and how I did it. Please, let's stop this and come back. I don't want us to split. I can't bear being apart from you any longer. Please, let's try to fix my mess. If you're mad, be mad at me. Only me. I caused this. But I'm asking you, give me, us, another shot. If not for me, then for your kids. Please, Brad, I'm begging, forgive your kids. And me, if you can, come back home. Brad's face showed he was mad, and it was scary. Are you still with the guy you ran off to Aruba with? He shot back. No, that was a huge mistake, Brad. I messed up so bad. Brad, I love you more than you'll ever know. I'll always love you more than words can say. Please, please forgive us. Brad stared at his wife, pure anger in his eyes, but he didn't get to say anything. The little girl left her brother and mom to run to him, hopping onto his lap. She hugged him quick, then saw the people on the computer screen. Her eyes got big, her smile too. Some teeth were missing, maybe because she's young. She waved at the 3 looking at her through the laptop and laughed. Jen also laughed, though it sounded a bit forced. She reached out, touching the screen. Mark just sat there, shocked. Vicky covered her mouth. Brad's face softened when the little girl climbed into his lap. Now he was smiling. Brad looked back at his old family. I won't say their names, or hers. Their names? You don't get to know. You just need to know they're good folks, that's all. Then Brad's new family came by his side. They spoke in a tongue Brad's first family couldn't catch. The lady put her hand on Brad, making Vicky turn red with envy. The young boy tried his best in English, saying, "We happy, thanks for Brad, love him lots, so happy, good man, good man." At first, Vicky, Mark, and Jen were lost, but soon it hit them. Brad had found his new kin. The woman had been eyeing Brad's first family, her gaze sharp. She whispered something to her kids, and they scampered off. She then said something to Brad, and he just nodded. Turning to Vicky, Mark, and Jen, she tried her best English. "I'm Tamthong Prisert. My English? Not there yet. He's pushing me to learn. Tough, but I'm blessed he's in my life. He saved me and my little ones twice. He took us in. So kind, so full of love. We're lucky. I know what you did to him. Shame on you. Lies, cheating. He doesn't need that. Shame on you. He's been mad, hurt, all because of you. Hurts me to see that. I just want his pain to leave, for him to be happy, always. I've told him I'd be his woman for real, for life. I love him and my kids here, ready to give him all. Even said I'd have his kids. He said no. He's married. He's not the kind to lie or cheat." She talked in simple words, but with a deep feeling, telling a tale of finding love, kindness, and a new start away from hurt and betrayal. Long ago he tells me this. Over a year now. Soon, too. Can't wait more. "You say goodbye." She looks at Vicky. "He's mine now. I love him lots. Got 2 kids who love him too. They're his now. My love for him is big. Always true to him. He's the best man. You were not true to him, not true to the kids. I'm taking him. He's my love for life. I'll always love him, never cheat or be bad. That's all I'm saying." Brad shakes his head as Tamthong walks away. Jen is crying. "Dad?" "What did I say, Jennifer?" "I love you, Dad. Not enough, Jennifer. Not enough to fight for me. Not even to think about it." But Jen keeps on. "That's not right, Dad. Don't you have any love for us? Even a bit?" Brad frowns. "Love is strange, Jennifer. Real love, I mean. You can't just turn it off, but it can change. Its look, smell, feel, meaning. Your mom should tell you about meaning if she hasn't. She changes what love means to fit how she feels." Vicky is shocked by the harsh words. "Brad. Stop, Vicky. Your love for me lost its meaning long ago. It changed 4 months before you told me I didn't matter. It meant nothing the last day we were together when you didn't say you loved me. It meant nothing when you kept seeing him after Aruba. What, you thought I wouldn't know? It changed for you kids too when you took your mom's side. That told me I was nothing to you. It completely changed for me when you supported her lover over me. No point talking more. I wasn't what you all wanted. I wasn't enough for any of you. 20 years of love from me meant nothing. Great, I've moved on. Let's stop there." "But that's not right, Dad," Mark said, his voice rising. "I won't talk about this, Mark. Not with you, Vicky, or Jennifer. Sometimes you only get one shot to do the right thing. You all had your shot and blew it. Live with it. I can live with my choice." "I never said you weren't important, Brad. Never." "Yes, you did, Vicky. You see, you all have a big problem. You hear things how you want. You didn't care how I'd take it. What I think is all that matters to me. Not what you think. What you thought was wrong from the start. And Mark saying your mom's mistake wasn't a big deal. Still think that?" Mark shook his head, looking down. "No, that was dumb. The dumbest thing I've ever said, and I've said a lot of dumb stuff, Dad." Brad didn't react to Mark using Dad again. "Guess that Camelot thing was your dumbest, but who cares? Dumb is as dumb does, right? Dad, we messed up. Big time. I can't say sorry enough for what we did or how bad I feel. We hurt you bad. You didn't deserve any of it. Can't you forgive our dumb mistakes? Give us a chance to make things right? Please, Dad, give us a chance." Jennifer chimed in. "We love you, Dad. Always have. We still do, and nothing you say will change that. Like Mom and Mark said, we royally messed up. We hurt you in ways I can't even say. I won't deny my part in it, but I am so sorry I wasn't smart enough to say no when Mom suggested it. I knew it was wrong, but I did it anyway. I just want to be your kid again. That's it, nothing more. Just let us be a family again. What we did was bad, sure, but was it bad forever? Can't you forgive us? Even a bit?" "No, Jennifer. It's not going to happen. Did any of you tell Nathan to leave my house? No, you didn't. You liked him there. You made him happy there. You both had fun while he was there with my wife in my bed. So no." Brad. Vicky, let's stop the lies, okay? I heard about you and your friend parting ways. What? How? You did that to him, didn't you? Brad's laugh was mean. I heard someone took care of Nathan Trumbull. I heard he was close to dying on the surgery table, not once but twice from many. Your family, my family, Sarah. None seemed sad for him. He was a good guy, Brad. He was never a good guy, Vicky. Good guys don't ruin families. You think I didn't know about your secret friend? I knew way before your trip with him. Did you know you weren't his only one? Did you? You likely thought you were special to him. Am I right? Anyway, I guess some angry husband didn't like Nathan's actions. His being hurt so bad was expected someday, I think. Now Nathan has to live with those scars, and he can't act proud of his man parts anymore. There's some rightness in that, don't you think? Brad. How could you? Dad? You did that to him? Mark was shocked. Brad looked at Mark before he spoke. Why are you upset? Scared of a husband getting back at a man who ruined his life? Dad, I don't think what Mom did was right, but Nathan, I've met him. He's kind. Brad laughed and then said to Jennifer, You think the same, sis? He is kind, Dad. Right. You two are losers. Don't call me Dad anymore. I'm not your dad if you're okay with that guy in our house. Happy to be around him. Just leave me alone. Go to Nathan. Have a big hug or something. Brad, Vicky jumped in. Nathan could get you locked up for what you did. First, Vicky, you think I did something. I never said I did. Nathan's sure it was me. He got the cops after me. Did he tell you? Did you stand up for me? Any of you? No? Thought so. Some U.S. Marshals found me last week. They were far from home, but they left. Nothing happened. They even got drunk on the local drink here. It's strong. I wasn't even in the U.S. when Nathan got hurt, so I'm clear. But hearing how Nathan can't prove it was me, that must hurt. Heard the docs put in fake parts for him, like the ones kids find at Easter. True? Maybe not. But Nathan pointing at me sure didn't make him look good to the feds, right? Someone must have spent a lot to find me way out here. Looks like Uncle Sam will need to ask for more taxes to get that cash back. Anyway, forget that nasty piece of work. He got what was coming to him, whoever did it. And who knows? Maybe there's more bad stuff waiting for him. You can never be too sure, right? Now for the last time. Let's make this quick and finish this silly chat. I know you three have been tight on money. I know that Mark and Jennifer had to quit school when I stopped helping out. And you, Vicky, haven't paid for their school since. They missed a term waiting for school loans. Too bad for them, and shame on you, Vicky. You could splash out on a fancy car for your boyfriend but not help your own kids with school? Making over $300,000 a year and you do that? That's just sad, Vicky. You're not doing a good job as a mom being so selfish. How's that car you got for what's-his-face anyway? I heard it's a wreck now. Bet the money on that car could have covered a few classes for your kids. What a letdown you are, Vicky. What a greedy person you turned into. Also, I know you three have been after the money I left with, and you've been trying to sue Mom and Dad for the cash from selling the business. That's really why my lawyer wanted me to talk to you. Ha! He's sick of the bother he's getting from your lawyers. Brad laughed, but this time it felt light. You've got to laugh at how messed up things are in court these days. Lawyers moaning about other lawyers bothering them. What a mess the United States has turned into. Okay. Here it is plain and simple. Listen well, you'll never get your hands on the money I took. Even if I dropped dead right this second, you wouldn't see a penny of it. It'll just vanish, gone forever. Think like this. I pass away and every bank account in the world gets a 2-cent drop. Every single one for both people and businesses. Can someone do that math? The money my folks got from selling their business is gone too. That deal was in a place that doesn't talk to the U.S., so that cash is way out of reach. Besides, that was their company, their cash, not mine. You can't touch it. Geez, talk about being all grabby for money. I know you tried to get Bert and Irene to help you with cash, Vicky, and they said no. How do I know? That trip they and Sarah went on to Fiji 2 months back? We met them there. Me, Tamthong, and the kids, we had a blast. It was cool to see your family get along with Tamthong and the kids so well, Vicky. I don't really mind if Bert or Irene give you money, but they're still pretty upset with you three. You shouldn't have let Nathan move into my house, Vicky. That was really dumb. Mark and Jennifer shouldn't have been so open about liking Nathan either. You all acted like Nathan was part of the family. He wasn't, isn't, and never will be if I got Irene and Bert right. Your family hoped I'd come back. Forgive you three sorry fools, Vicky. Bert, Irene, and Sarah really hoped for that. They thought we could fix what was broken. But once Nathan stuck around, they knew it was a no-go. They told me that in Fiji. So, yeah, they're pretty mad at each of you, and rightly so. Sarah told Irene and Bert about how you, Vicky, pushed her to say yes to a plan. You wanted her to go away with me for 2 weeks to a sunny, sandy place as a way to fix what you did wrong. You called it making things even or something like that. I told her thanks, but no thanks. We both knew it wouldn't happen. I'm not made that way, and neither is Sarah. It's sad you think so little of your sister. If only you were half as good as her, we might still be together. She also said you both knew about your mom's idea for Sarah to try and win me over, and you were okay with it. The three of you make me sick. Just trash, that's all you are to me. But let's say that's all in the past, right? So you three, all your talk of love and missing me isn't about me at all. You were all fine with Nathan until he got hurt, couldn't work, and money got tight. Nathan can't make Vicky happy in bed anymore, which must ruin your fun of having him take my place. And you two, you just lost your easy ride through life. This is what you're really after with this call. You don't want me back. You just want my money. That's my money too, Brad, Vicky yelled. No, it's not. You. It's all mine and it stays mine. You thought you had it all figured out, that you were in control. I told you back then you were not thinking deep enough. Too proud, Vicky. You took a risk and lost. I owe you nothing, not any of you. You made your bed, now lie in it. I have a couple more things for you three. Ed, my lawyer, will give you the divorce papers this week. It's just a formality, really. You get the house from the divorce, but that's it. I would never go back there anyway. Like you, it's ruined, forever marked. Sign the divorce papers, and once it's all done, I'll give you my part of the house. You can keep it or sell it. Doesn't matter to me. You might get a lot of money if you sell now, but if you don't want to sign, that's fine too. I can still have a great life with Tamthong and the kids without being divorced from you. Being apart is easy in this place. No need to blame anyone. I just don't want us to be together anymore. That's all I'll say to the court. So, sign or don't. It's happening either way. Oh, and I'm about to officially become the dad of the 2 kids you see playing out back. You don't get a say in it. Only Tamthong does, and she's all in. The paperwork will be done soon. I had to pay a little extra to get it fast-tracked, but it wasn't much. About Tamthong, things changed today. I might not love her like I loved you, Vicky, but that love I gave you was a dead end. I do care for Tamthong, a lot, and I respect her. Our love will grow, especially when we have our own kids. That'll happen soon. I'll let Irene, Bert, and Sarah know. If they want, they can tell you. Last thing, we won't be here much longer. This place we're in is just for now. Tamthong's got no ties here, so moving's easy. We're not sure where yet, but Fiji sounds nice. I can buy a house, and it seems like a perfect spot for us. Maybe we'll head to the Maldives next. It's pretty there, too. I might buy homes in a few places. Doesn't really matter where we stay. My parents will follow once we pick a spot. They sure love the little ones, and they think the world of Tamthong for sticking by me. Bert, Irene, and Sarah are always welcome, too. I bet they love the kids as well. They did spend lots of time with them in Fiji. But not you three. You're not welcome wherever we end up. Brad went quiet for a bit, then let out a sigh. Vicky, I loved you more than you could imagine. I treasured every second with you for over 20 years. That was till you hurt me the way you did. Same goes for Mark and Jennifer. My love for you was boundless and my pride immense until I saw your true colors. You showed me I didn't matter much to you, and that's not okay by me. So now I just don't care about you three. You chose barely can stand up straight, can't even get it up Nathan over me, and I chose 3 others over you. Clearly I won this trade, that's all there is to it. We're done now, forever. I'd say all the best, but honestly I don't care what happens to you. Brad ended the call before they could say a word. He leaned back, feeling good about his life for the first time in years. Back in the States, Vicky, Jen, and Mark were in shock, staring at the screen. Mark broke the silence. Who was that? That wasn't Dad. Jennifer, tears running down her face, managed to say, Yes, it was. We made him that way. Vicky couldn't find any words to speak. She shook so much she thought she'd break. How could Brad be so mean? It was just a quick thing, nothing big. Nathan moving in was a must. If Brad had just come back, none of this would have happened. Nathan was only there to help pay bills. And so what if they had some sex? It was just sex. If Brad was here, none of this mess would be here. And poor Nathan wouldn't have got hurt. Vicky was sure Brad had something to do with Nathan getting hurt. Somehow, he struck back. Somehow. Where do you think Dad is? In Asia, for sure. Those folks with him looked Asian, right? Mark asked. Did they look Asian to you? Yep, he's in Asia. I've seen that lady's skirt before, Jennifer said. A sarong, I think. They wear those in Thailand. Where the heck is Thailand? Mark asked. Vicky hit him lightly on the head. Mind your words. Come on, Mom, I'm almost 21. I said mind your words. Jennifer looked up Thailand on the computer. Wow, it's big. Looks the size of Texas. Or maybe Alaska. Dad could be anywhere there. Doesn't matter. He said he's leaving. Where to? Mark asked. Fiji or the Maldives? What are the Maldives and where's Fiji? Near Bermuda? Mark, don't you know any geography? No, I know Dallas. Is that not enough? You're silly. So? Fiji's in the Pacific, not too far from Hawaii. A few hours by plane. The Maldives are south of India. Vicky couldn't move. She couldn't think. She just sat there hugging herself. Her tears kept coming. Mark leaned back, sighing. This didn't go as we hoped. We thought he'd forgive us and come back. But he's so different now. Not the dad we knew, except with those kids. That bugs me. Why? Jenny asked. That's not fair, Mark. Those kids love him like we did, and he loves them back. Dad thinks we betrayed him, and we did, even if we didn't mean to. Nathan's nice, but he's not Dad. We can't be mad at Dad for feeling replaced. No way, Jen, that's not right. But it is, Mark. To him, we pushed him out. That's all he sees. Now he's starting over without us. We made that happen. Vicky couldn't believe what Jenny said. It wasn't like that, and don't say it was, she snapped. Jenny looked at her mom. Yes, it was, Mom, she said, sad. Face it, you started this mess. Mark and I helped, but you led. We never stood up for Dad. We ignored how he felt. When Nathan stepped in, we let him. We should have been there for him, but weren't. So, Mom, will you sign the divorce papers? I don't want to. Do you have a choice? Jenny pushed. No, Vicky said. I can't keep things this way. And did you get Nathan a car? Isn't he rich? Vicky just shrugged. I really don't know, Mark. He was so kind to us, helping us, me, when times were hard, and I knew he liked that type of car. I just wanted to say thanks. I don't think others see it like that, Mom. It doesn't matter, though. Is the car wrecked? Vicky nodded. Pity. It was a nice car. That lady, Tamthong? She's really pretty. Vicky frowned, and Mark just shook his head. She is, Jennifer said firmly. And she really loves Dad. You could see it. I don't like it much, but I'm happy Dad's found some joy. I bet she'd do anything for Dad. That's... Mom, he's not coming back. That's on us. I'm okay with him being happy there. How can you say that? Vicky was shocked. I think it's no different than you finding someone else, Mom, Jennifer fired back. You moved on first, now he has too, she said, getting mad. Not cool, Jen. Screw off, Mark. You're just as bad. And so is Mom, and so am I. You just care about Nathan's smashed car. Mom's just into someone else and taking Dad's money. And me? I just didn't want to be caught in the middle. None of us deserve Dad. None! Vicky was steaming mad. If that's what you think, she hissed. It is. I want my dad back. You're blaming Dad for everything, but he did nothing wrong. You did. Mark did. I did. We're all to blame. So leave me alone. Hey, Jen, take it easy, okay? At least he didn't call me a mama's boy. What a jerk. Just because I don't agree, now I don't care if he comes back or not, Mark said, annoyed. Mark was also a bit mad that his mom didn't scold Jennifer for her words. Then again, maybe it was because his mom was just shocked by Jennifer's outburst. Who knows? Nothing felt right anymore, and that just stunk. Tamthong moved away from Brad as he kept talking on the video call to his old family. She sat in the shade, arms on her knees, hands together, watching him. She thought he'd be mad or tense, but no. He looked chill and happy, even laughing with the kids. This made her smile. The kids were doing great here with Brad. They got healthy from good food and felt safe. He dressed them nice and made sure they knew their ABCs and 123S, just like he said he would. To her surprise, the kids loved learning. Their English wasn't perfect and hers was rough, but Brad made them speak only English for half the day. It was funny, but it was working. The rest of the day they spoke Thai, and Brad was getting better at it. He still looked up words a lot, but he was learning. She meant it when she told his wife that Brad was the best man ever. That's how she saw him always. It made her offer herself to him as a T-lock, which he said as T-lock. They had some mix-ups over what Thai-lock meant, so she had a priest explain to Brad. There are lots of words for the same thing in Thailand, but for Brad, T-lock meant extra wife. Tamthong didn't know the word polyandry, never heard it, but it's pretty much what T-lock was. In Thai ways, a man or a woman could have one legal wife or husband, and then more Thai-locks or extra spouses, if they could take care of them. The first wife or husband had to be okay with new ones joining, but that wasn't often a big issue. They often picked the person being brought in. This old custom was not so common, but was still seen, mostly in countryside areas than in cities. Tamthong thought. Yet it happened in cities, too. In Korat, she knew 4 families that did this. Brad found it hard to get what Tamthong wanted, even with the priest trying to help. He thought T-lock meant mistress and not wife. He saw having a mistress as him being untrue to his wife who was not faithful. He did not want to betray. This puzzled Tamthong. She felt Brad's wife had no say in his life now. Since his wife was the one who strayed, her views on Brad getting a Thai-lock did not matter, or should not matter. Tamthong could not grasp why Brad would see himself as betraying. The priest did his best to clear it up for them, but really, he just made it more confusing. Tamthong did not push Brad, though she felt upset at not knowing enough words. She was sure the priest mixed his faith in while explaining. She did not want that, but the man was a Christian priest. It was likely he'd include his faith. She knew she could make it clear if she only had the right words. Brad tried looking up words in his Thai to English dictionary, but it did not help much. One thing was clear to her, though. Brad saying no was not because he looked down on her. Every time he was with Tamthong, he was always kind and friendly. That would not be the case if he saw her as lower. He might have, but he never acted like it. No. What held him back was the promises he made to his unfaithful wife when they got married. Brad, more than anything, was a man of deep loyalty and dedication. He didn't really like sticking to one person, and that's why he had a hard time saying yes to her at first. But she got used to his way of thinking and respected his wish to keep his word. Still, every few months, she would ask him again, hoping he might change his mind after living in Thailand for a while. Brad had been feeling stuck for many weeks. He had something big on his mind but found it hard to talk about. Tamthong just waited for him, not sure what he was thinking, but guessing it had to do with her and the kids. She was scared he might be planning to leave them. She always thought that could happen. So when he finally talked to her, she was shocked to hear he was going to leave his wife in America. He asked if Tamthong wanted to be his real wife after his divorce, and if she would let him adopt her 2 children. She was shocked, and Brad looked very worried she might say no. Tamthong called the priest over to make sure she got it right before she answered. She did get it right, and she said yes to both. She didn't want to wait on the adoption, and neither did Brad. Now, with the video call done, she was going to be Brad's partner. 10 months later, Brad's and Tamthong's family were living happily in a big house in Fiji near the city of Suva on the big island of Viti Levu. The place they got used to be a small beach resort that ran out of money. Brad got it for very little and moved everyone in. It had lots of room with 6 extra bedrooms still free. Sarah couldn't come this time, but the happy news was that she had found her perfect match and was on her honeymoon in Hawaii. Everyone was hoping to take a short trip to Fiji for a few days to see the whole family, if they could manage to get up and going, that is. Brad's parents had moved to Fiji 6 months back and were living in the same place as Brad and his new family. They had their own small house nearby for alone time, but joined Brad and Tamthong for meals and hangouts in the main living space. Their meals were a big family thing every day. They could stay in Fiji for 6 months with their U.S. passports, but staying longer was easy with just a simple request. Bert and Irene were visiting and thinking about getting their own place on the island for when they retire. They also thought about just living like Aaron and Grace, staying in the suite they were in now. Plus, staying there didn't cost them much. Everyone just put money into a pot for groceries when needed. They all got along great. Bert and Irene really liked Tamthong, Keet, and Apsara. Keet and Apsara were super proud to have Brad as their dad, But they still remembered their birth dad in their prayers. Brad didn't want to talk about it when Tamthong brought it up once, and Tamthong was 8 months pregnant and married to Brad. All 4 grandparents were excited for the new baby. Tamthong didn't say if it was a boy or girl, so the grandparents were guessing. Brad just hoped the baby would be healthy. Dear Mom, I really mean it. I love you. I always will. But I can't be near you anymore because of how you've changed. You're not the mom I grew up loving, the woman I looked up to. I don't think you've been that person since you chose to break Dad's heart and your marriage promise. Of course, you don't see how you've changed. You think you're still the kind, giving, and open lady you always were. You're not. Your self-centered, mean ways have only grown since you found out Dad really left you. You see nothing wrong in what happened with Nathan. You won't say or think it was you who broke our family by getting close to Nathan. In your eyes, you're the one hurt, not Dad. You blame everything on him, but it's not Dad's fault at all. The truth is, you started tearing apart your marriage and our family by cheating with Nathan. First in your heart, then for real. You thought Dad would be okay with your affair, then got mad when he wasn't. You say he's just being moody, but you're so wrong. Dad doesn't get moody. He's never been like that. He sees things as they are. When he saw your betrayal, Mark's and mine, he realized there was no reason to stay with us. We broke all his ties to us. So he left and didn't plan to come back. I don't blame him. How could I? I played a part in making him leave. The problem is, you won't step back and really look at what caused this mess. It was you. Just you. At some point, for reasons you've never fully shared with me or Mark, you thought you could do whatever you wanted no matter who got hurt. You thought you had it all figured out, that you could have your affair and justify it. What did Dad say? That you weren't thinking deep enough? He was right. He outsmarted you, making you feel caught off guard, probably embarrassed and ashamed that Dad turned out to be smarter than you. You should have ended things with Nathan then and waited to talk to Dad and fix things with him. We all know you didn't do the right thing. Getting mad because things didn't go your way, you made a bad thing even worse by letting Nathan move in. This feels a lot like being too full of yourself. Did Dad really pay for the whole house? You didn't help at all? That makes sense of some of his anger, doesn't it? First, you hurt him and made him feel small by being with someone else, and then you added to the hurt by having your new partner live in a house that Dad paid for. How can you not see how wrong that was to him? I say you because it was your idea and you made it happen and it got more messed up. But I played a part in this too, just like Mark did. We were really unwise to back you up, and Mark still does. I still can't wrap my head around why I went along with your idea. I don't get why it's always been so easy for you to sway me and Mark. Maybe one day I'll understand. Or maybe not. Right now, it doesn't matter. I played a part in what happened to Dad. I will be sorry for that for the rest of my life. And more so because I made Nathan feel at home in that house. Nathan, I hope I never meet anyone as sly as him again. True, he's got charm, makes you like him. Yes, Nathan was always good to Mark and me, but in truth, he was just like you, a user, a trickster. Just like you, he only cared about what he wanted, that's all that mattered to him. He didn't care one bit about how he hurt our family. Nathan never said sorry in a way I'd hear it, so I guess he just never did. He got you, which is what he wanted. Wow, he even got a free car out of you. That was a whole new level of foolishness on your part, Mom, and you even boasted about it. Of course, Nathan didn't keep quiet on how he got the car, either. It seems you gave him a surprise gift, but did he trick you into it, making you think it was your idea? Dad knew he was seeing other girls beside you. I've thought a lot about that. The only way Dad could have known is if Grandpa Bert told him, probably because Nathan was showing off at work. It makes sense, right? So, your new guy, Nathan, wasn't so great after all. Just like you, he's just another cheater. A sneaky one. Just like you, Mom. I tried to talk about all this with Mark, but he didn't care. Mark only thinks about himself. Can you believe he's still upset with Dad for calling him a mama's boy? Mark really needs to grow up, but I'm afraid he won't. He, like you, ignored me. So who could I talk to sort things out? Grandma Irene, of course. She doesn't play games. She sees things how they are and brings the truth out into the open. Let me tell you, she didn't go easy on me. She didn't let me make any excuses. I love her for it. Talk about respect and someone to look up to. That's Grandma Irene for me. I respect and admire her, and I always will. So you're probably wondering what all this means. Simply put, I have left home as in you and Mark. I don't have or want a place there with you guys anymore. And you're probably asking why I'm saying this in a letter instead of to your face. There are 2 reasons. 1, you don't listen. You refuse to hear anything that doesn't fit with what you think. I'm tired of being ignored while you blame Dad for what you've done. No more. I know I can't face you and say no to what you want. It's hard for me to stand up to you, I admit it. So I chose the easy way out by leaving you this note. You might have guessed already, but I've left you and Mark to find Dad. I don't know exactly where he is, but as you're reading this, I'm on a plane going to find him. He doesn't know I'm coming. I hope he lets me ask for his forgiveness. I'm ready to do that in front of everyone if that's what it takes. I so want my dad back. I'll do anything, even though I'm scared he might turn me away. You're probably wondering how I managed to afford this trip. Think about it. Grandpa Bert and Grandma Irene. They've given me what I need to go to Dad. They're with him right now, and they've said they'll do their best to make Dad see how much I want to be with him again. Not just for a little while, but forever. Gram will be tough to convince, but I'm ready to accept any punishment she thinks I deserve. Dad might still say no to forgiving me. If that happens, I'll find a job and live as close to him as possible. That's my plan for now. But I won't return to you and Mark. I'm closing that door. Only you and Mark can open it again. If you want me back, it's up to you to make it happen. I won't help. There's something else I really want. I hope to meet my new brother and sister. I hope Dad and their mom Tamthong let me. I want to get to know her too. Now, Mom, no. Ask yourself a few things. Try to be honest with yourself. Is our family where you dreamed it would be when you began all this? When you snuck around, did you see our family falling apart like this? Did it ever cross your mind this could end us? Do you have any idea how to fix what's left of your marriage, our family, your life now? You've lost Dad for good, and Nathan seems to mean little to you, maybe just for talks, maybe not even that. What will you do next? I wasn't lying when I said I love you at the start of this letter. I truly do. I'll miss you so much, but not the you from today. That mom seems gone. Can she come back? I've said all I need to. There's nothing more, right? I love you, Mom. But I don't like you. Jennifer Brad was out on the deck near the water with his scotch, enjoying his alone time, thinking back to what Irene had shared in secret just 3 days ago. Nathan. Nathan had surely been dealt with, harshly so. Brad had no part in it. He found out later and didn't judge. Still, it made him shake his head. He even smiled, but only when alone. Irene, Bert, Grace, and Aaron. They all pitched in, hired someone, and Nathan got what they thought he deserved. Brad laughed, thinking his mother would have preferred a belt used on the guy, or not. Maybe Grace had a say in the hurt given to Nathan. Brad would never know for sure. But one thing he knew, Nathan wouldn't break another family. That was why they went after him. Brad couldn't feel more love for those 4 amazing people. Family is everything, after all. Jen knocked on the door more scared than ever before. Jen had all she owned with her, standing at the door of the man she had hurt badly, hoping he could ever forgive her. A lady opened the door and spoke words Jen didn't get, but she knew who she was. This woman was more beautiful than in Jen's memory, and she was going to have a baby soon. Tamthong, I'm Jen. Jennifer? You might not know me now. I know you, said Tamthong, her face showing no feelings. They stood quiet for a bit. Jen was shocked. She didn't know if she got the right place, and seeing Tamthong threw her off. She felt a rush of feelings. Is Brad here? Tamthong gave Jen a look, then let her in. You wait, put bags here. Jen watched Tamthong go. She looked around. The place felt like a real home. Not messy, just warm. She heard kids laughing from the back and Brad's voice too. It made her think of old times with her brother Mark and Brad. The kids' fun sounds stopped when Tamthong spoke. Soon Brad came. Jen dropped to her knees seeing him. He looked so good. Maybe she hadn't really seen him before, or maybe Tamthong and her kids made him happy. Jen just cried, trying to see him well. Jen? Oh, I didn't expect this, Brad said, coming over. Dad? Jen lost it and hugged him tight, putting all her love in it. When she let go, she saw her dad hadn't hugged back the same way. I'm sorry, I know Jen tried. Let's walk. Brad cut her short. He wasn't mean or mad, just blank. No feeling showed. Jen gave a small nod. Her first wave of feelings was fading, and she knew a hug wasn't enough. Brad had almost shut her out on their Skype call, but he hadn't pushed her away now, and they were going to walk. Maybe there was hope, she thought. They walked without talking for a bit. Jen watched Brad look around. Was he liking this new life more? Was he trying to enjoy it? Or was he just putting off the part where he'd send her off? Jen chose to speak first. "She's pretty, Dad." "Who? Tamthong?" He came back from his thoughts. "Yes, she is. In a lot of ways, she really is. I'm happy you met her. Or that you both met, I guess." "Thanks," Brad said, then nothing for a while. He stopped and faced Jen. "Is that why you came all this way?" "No, I just don't know what to say." "You came all this way and don't know what to say?" Jen laughed, but it sounded forced. "There's no book on how to fix a mess like this. Watch your words." "Sorry, Dad. But I'm nervous, scared, happy, terrified. I'm losing it." "So, sorry if I swear again." Jen took a deep breath. "Dad, I left Mom and Mark." "You did? What about him?" "Who? Him too, I guess. I didn't really see him as part of my life to leave. I didn't spend much time with him, Dad. Truth is, I kept away from him and Mom. I even got a job at school to stay away. I talked to Grandma Irene a lot about them, and she helped me see things clear. Dad, I'm so upset with how I acted. I just can't. How do I fix things with you? How can I make you forgive me? You're the most important, not Mom, not Mark, and not him. I left it all just to find you." "Why? I thought it was clear the last time we spoke." "You did, Dad. But I wasn't clear for a long while. I love you, Dad. I know after all that happened, it might seem hard to believe, but it's true. It took me too long to see how much I care about you and what Mom really did to you. By the time I saw the truth, I thought it was all over." "What truth did you find out?" "I found out what I messed up." "What do you mean, what you messed up?" "Look, after you were gone, I realized something. I realized that fun things didn't make me happy for long. I would get mad or sad easily. Sure, I could laugh at a joke, but the happy feeling was always short. It wasn't like when we were a family. That's when I got it. Family. Dad, when I really saw that we tore our family apart just so Mom could have fun, it broke something inside me. Something you taught me always. To love our family. I was part of what ruined our family. When Mom convinced me at first, she made me think that making her happy would make us all happy. Deep down, I knew it was wrong. But every time I tried to speak up, she made me think she was right, saying it wouldn't hurt us. Then, when everything fell apart, I had a moment of truth. I saw why I was so unhappy because I messed up. I hurt you, and it split our family. "Jennifer, it surely wasn't just you," Brad said softly. "I know it wasn't just me, but I played a part in it, and I shouldn't have. I went along with Mom's lies, I ignored my conscience, and it cost me my dad and my family. You still got your Mom and Mark." "No, Dad, not anymore. I told Mom we're done. If she wants me or Mark back, it's on them. They don't get what family is. I can't be with them until they do. Mom's lost, always asking why folks can't stand her choices. And Mark, I guess he missed out on brain air when we were little. Only way it makes sense why he's not upset like me. But forget them. Dad, even if you don't forgive me, I'm not going back to them. I came here to try and get your forgiveness. I really hope we can fix things so you can be my dad again, but no matter what, I'm not going back." "What do you think will happen, Jennifer? Where will you go if I don't let you stay?" Well, I finished school, Dad. I got my degree, and I applied for a teaching job here in Fiji, English and math. I have an interview next week. I thought, if you're still mad, I'd find a place nearby and take the time needed to make things right with you. I'm not leaving you again, Dad. Never." Brad looked at Jen for a bit. A small grin showed on his face. "Is that so? You really mean it?" "I do, Dad, I swear. Come on." "Where to? You kicking me out?" "No, I'm not." "You haven't met Keet and Apsara yet. Your brother and sister." Jennifer gasped, tears in her eyes. "My?" "Yeah, and you'll need to learn Thai. Those kids won't be easy on you if you don't," Brad said, smiling. "Welcome back, Jen. Just please don't mess this up like before." "I won't, Dad. Never again." Jen looked back and saw Tamthong with a big smile. It was clear to her that Tamthong was happy because her husband had said sorry to his oldest daughter and let her back into the family. She hugged Jennifer, saying, He wait so long for you. Now you be good. He very happy. Ha! I finally won one, Bert said as he and Irene saw Brad walk Jen and Tamthong back home, his arms around both. Yes, dear, Irene said and gave him a pat. She left with a smile, leaving Bert to watch alone. Aaron, did you hear that? I won! Bert looked around for Aaron but saw Grace come up. Grace? Guess who gave Jen the address? Grace asked with a big smile. Bert, we all love you, but you're always a bit late behind Irene. It was Irene who got Jennifer here. Grace left Bert with a laugh, ready to say hi to her granddaughter and welcome her back. 5 years later. Vicky rubbed her eyes, tired. Nathan was making a fuss about it being too soon and tried to sleep a bit more before the alarm went off again. Vicky smiled at how silly it was, thinking of Jen and Mark when they were small and didn't want to wake up for school. Thinking of Jen, she noted it had been almost 5 years since they last talked. Jen was with her dad now. All was good between them. Jennifer would stay with her dad and his family now. She loved her stepbrothers and sisters, and they loved her. Vicky let herself feel sad for a bit for not having Jen around, then started her day. Vicky heard Nathan's alarm go off again. Nathan hitting snooze more than once meant his pain was bad. He's not a morning guy, but hitting snooze lots meant something was not right. Vicky put a hand on his shoulder. Hey, are you okay? She asked. My back, it hurts, he said with a groan. I'll get your pills, she said, moving to the medicine cabinet. She looked at the bottles, moving aside the ones she didn't need until she found the right pills. Only 2 left. She'll have to go out and get more. Nathan took the pill with some tap water. Thanks, he said. Vicky didn't like it when he called her babe. 5 years and it still didn't sound right. It should be Brad who calls her that. She and Nathan hadn't been close at all, not in 5 years. And he never tried to make her happy in other ways. Not once. How could he call her babe? You're welcome. There's just 1 pill left. I'll get more at lunchtime. Will you be okay until then? She asked. Yes, I'll be fine. I'll stay home today. Call me if it gets too bad. I'll sort something out, she told him. Thanks. Now you better hurry or you'll be late for work. Okay. Love ya, she said, making sure to say yeah. Love you was still something she only said to Brad. He's staying home again? Vicky thought. His job was on the line already. After he lost his first job because of a fight, he changed. There wasn't much left of the old Nathan. He still had money, but he didn't like to use it. So Vicky paid for everything. Nathan was now working part-time at Sam's club, but he kept missing work. Vicky didn't think he'd keep the job for much longer, but she wouldn't say anything. Marrying Nathan was Vicky's own choice of paying back for the hurt she caused Brad and her family. She saw it as her due pain. No love was found in this marriage, only a sense of duty to suffer. Vicky kept to her path without a word of protest. Her sister Sarah kind of made peace with her, but Sarah kept her distance, not wanting anything to do with Nathan. She would ring Vicky a few times every year, always during the festive times. God, how Vicky missed her sister. Sarah was still close with their folks, and Brad's bunch, too. He now had a big, happy family of 6 with his new partner. Sarah would sneak Vicky photos, making her swear to keep it a secret. The photos of Jennifer, looking happy and well, were like a sweet sting to Vicky. She never let Nathan see them. They were her burden to bear. Vicky sometimes thought about Nathan's health, wondering if she'd find him gone one morning. Would she grieve? Maybe a little, but she knew what she'd do next. Sell the house, get rid of everything, and then try to find Jennifer to ask for her forgiveness. Vicky ached for her daughter and her parents. She had tried finding Fiji on online maps, following Sarah's hints, hoping to catch a glimpse of where her family was. She thought she found their spot, their hideout on the big island from a sky pic. It looked real pretty, if true. Maybe if Nathan would just go away forever, she might visit it. To Fiji. She would beg Jen and her folks on her knees. Maybe. It could happen. Lunchtime hit fast for Vicky, and she walked to the drugstore close by. In line, she thought of how much cash Nathan's pills took up and felt lucky for her health cover. Vicky had ideas of leaving her work. She had saved enough to stop and live easy, but that thought vanished as Nathan's health bills got big. It's not that she hated her job, but it lacked joy. It took some talking to a pro to see that her job felt good when she could go back to her kin, and after any day, it would be nicer. Brad would hear her ups and downs. Mark and Jen were there to hug her on sad days and be happy on good days. Now it was just Nathan back home, and he didn't want to hear about her day even when he was sober or off his pain meds. "Pick up?" the drug guy asked. "Yes," Vicky said and shared Nathan's details. Pain pills and 3 more meds were set. Vicky let out a breath as she paid. Man, Nathan was in a bad way, she thought. After leaving the care place, it was one thing, then another. A bit of bone was floating and had to go. He started not hearing well in one ear. The meds gave him stone pains in his kidney. Other stuff too over the years, but now it was his back hurting bad from spine trouble. Vicky didn't want to tempt fate and ask what else could hit them when she stepped outside. But fate had a plan. Vicky saw her son, Mark, on the other side of the street holding hands with a lady who wasn't his wife. Mark getting hitched to Chloe 4 years back was a rare good thing since Vicky messed up her own life. So why was Mark doing this? She ran across the street, hurrying after Mark. He stopped in front of a flat and was all smiles, talking to a lady. Vicky had too far to go to stop him. Mark leaned in and kissed her. Not just a peck, but a full-on kiss that left nothing to guess. When Mark saw his mom, his joy turned to shock. He let go of the lady's hand and faced his mom. "Mom, this isn't—" Vicky hit Mark hard and he staggered back, hand on his cheek where she slapped him. "Don't start with 'it's not what it looks like.' It's just that Chloe's the best you got for us left in the family, and didn't you learn anything from all my mistakes? You better fix this and hope you can save your marriage, or you'll see how bad it feels to lose the best part of your life. I know. I messed up, got the papers to show it, and it's been bad every day since." Vicky walked away, not waiting to hear Mark. It took her years and lots of help to see where she went wrong. But right now, she wished she had made Mark get that help too. Her son was just as selfish and shallow, like mom, like son. Hey listeners, if you enjoyed watching this video and want to stay updated with our latest content, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss out on what's coming next. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video with Queen Cheating Tales.